100 cases. So 4,100 cases pending warrants for review. The circuit attorney office says, well, that number is actually 3,000. So there's a little bit of a back and forth. What we do know is there is a backlog of cases at Kim Gardner's office, at the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's office. There's the story is that when the police arrested the woman and then they applied for warrants, but then the circuit attorney's office said that it was placed in the warrant application was placed in the non-urgent drop box. So because there's a backlog, this case wasn't pushed to the top. Then charges were filed again, and it's being posed as miscommunication. One was not urgent, plus they're backlogged. So somehow the police needed to make this stand out more. The circuit attorney's not getting to it. It's kind of the same old story of excuses being made, but ultimately the people in the city of St. Louis are hurting.
Maybe this is common in other cities, and stuff like this does fall through the cracks, and it's not out of the ordinary. It sure seems, though, like we hear about a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
It sure seems like it happens here a lot more than it should happen. And again, we don't know that to be the case for sure, but there is a lot of smoke there. There's a lot of reason to be concerned that there's either miscommunication, there's incompetence, there's something going on.
And a lack of cooperation as
Definitely.
well. It's a mix. Now, for reference, because a lot of circuit attorney offices are backlogged because of COVID. According to the St. Louis Police, there are 4,195 cases pending application of warrants. The case like this that we're seeing, this woman who's harassing, this racist woman who's harassing this family. According to St. Louis County has 678 cases pending. St. Charles has 775. So there is a backlog, but you can see the discrepancy of the numbers. We're talking hundreds in St. Louis County and St. Charles County and thousands in St. Louis City.
Republicans in the state house, the House of Representatives in Missouri, have already started to move forward with a plan who was sponsored by Lane Roberts, who's a representative out of Joplin, Missouri, that would appoint a special prosecutor for the city of St. Louis. And as it pertains to certain crimes, we have talked about that before. Later on in the show, we'll be visiting with Representative Steve Butts. We've actually tried to get in touch with Lane Roberts over the last couple of weeks, have been unable to get a response from him. We'd love to talk to him about his bill, but there is opposition to it, but it seems like there is overwhelming support for the most part within the state of Missouri. People in St. Louis government, a lot of them are against the idea because Kim Gardner was elected, and they say the words they use are overwhelmingly chosen to be the attorney here. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it seems like Missouri is going to move forward with that. Representative Steve Butts will be joining us from South City. He will be joining us later in the show to talk about this. Want to get his thoughts on it.
Yeah.
He has been on record saying that he thinks it will help some. He does not think the special prosecutor will make a dramatic effect.
And I do want to ask him about that, because to me, then let's help some. I understand local government, and I understand she was overwhelmingly and duly elected as a special prosecutor. When do you start to see the data and the number and the consequences, though, of an ineptitude coming from the circuit attorney's office that you say this is either intentional dereliction of duty, incompetence, or an office that's overwhelmed? And I don't know at what point you draw that line and say, even if the circuit attorney is doing her very best to get through these cases, her office is obviously overwhelmed. The state has to step in, or else the city is going to suffer.
Well, honestly, now it becomes an issue of when we have decided that elections matter to us. We've decided we are a democracy across the board, right? That's who we are as a nation. We have to decide, though, are there times where the problems supersede that? And I think it's a very dangerous road to go down. So what might be fair, and I know this isn't how it works, but it seems like the people who live in St. Louis should have a say over whether or not something like this is done. they should get to vote. And again, I know that's not how it works, but if the people who live in this city voted for her overwhelmingly, and this has been proposed, they should also be able to vote on that as well. So I know that's not the solution to the problem, but it is something that absolutely has to be considered. So I'm looking forward to talking to Representative Butts about that and see what he has to say. What we do know for a fact, Amy, is this city has particular challenges that other cities have, but I think our situation might be a little bit worse, and perception is a big part of that. The perception that St. Louis from the outside is a mess. That's why it ends up on the NBC Nightly News.
Man, we talk about the perception and how it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if that's the perception of St. Louis by the rest of the country, which I know there's some back and forth with some people, it is in my experience
Mine too.
When I travel, whether it is internationally or domestically, you say St. Louis and people are, oh, wow, either it's dangerous or, I've driven through there. Nobody goes to St. Louis. We're not in demand. And so why would you bring businesses here? Why would tourists want to come here? So at some point, I mean, perception absolutely matters. And as we were talking to St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman earlier, when you say St. Louis, people from out of town have no idea that
if it's
St. Charles isn't part of St. Louis.
They don't. It's all one big city.
They have no idea that you're a 45-minute drive if you're in Warren County.
Right.
They go, oh, we're not going to Warren County. That's St. Louis.
314-436-7900. We want to hear from you today on KMOX.
2 ways to listen to KMOX in your car. 98.7 in the city, 1120 AM further out. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Many great wines now come in boxes, which produce half the overall emissions that bottles do. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of a cut above.
Decades of expertise to transform your home. From so-so to virtuoso.
The power of neighborhood painters.
We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put
the power of pro
to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
This Valentine's, let's be honest, Diamonds Direct knows what's on all of our wish lists this year. Just like the little black dress is a wardrobe staple that can be worn for any occasion, diamond classics like diamond stud earrings, pendants, and tennis bracelets are the perfect addition to dress up any look. For the first time ever, Diamonds Direct is offering an amazing 25% off their Diamond Classics collection. With 25% off, it's never been easier to build a perfect timeless jewelry collection. Every outfit is complete with these classics. Dress up your look with a pair of diamond studs, tennis bracelet, or pendant. Now through the 14th, take an additional 25% off Diamonds Direct's already low prices on their Diamond Classics collection. And give that little black dress lots of sparkle.
Don't miss the best ever Valentine's celebration at Diamonds Direct with unprecedented savings, in-store designer appearances, and special 0% financing offers. Get all the details at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Serving St. Louis for over 96 years. KMOX.
Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on the show on KMOX. We welcome your interaction today. 314-436-7900 is the number to call into the show. This text message, and I do want to get to a couple of them. And again, your phone calls are welcome too if you want to pop in today and visit with us on this issue. But we were just talking about the special prosecutor, the possibility of that. It's already started to move forward. There is an initial agreement on it with the House of Representatives in the state of Missouri to appoint that special prosecutor for the city of St. Louis. This texter says, to address the notion Kim Gardner was elected overwhelmingly, look up that last election for city attorney. Something like 10% of registered city voters went to the polls.
Nobody votes.
Okay,
that's a fair point.
It is a fair point, but those are the people who took the initiative to go vote. There are a lot of elections where a lot of people don't go vote. A lot of people don't go vote in midterms. A lot of people don't vote in primaries.
Yeah.
So do we throw all of those things out because there's not huge participation? When do you decide that elections matter, regardless of how many people show up to vote?
Yeah, no, and I think this is something we've talked about a lot with John Hancock and Michael Kelly. Some of the most determinative and consequential elections, general elections, are determined by a very small percentage of registered voters. Because as you mentioned, in the primaries or in an election regarding the lead prosecutor in the city of St. Louis, you have a small portion, a minute portion of people actually voting for these significant positions.
Right. But that is
the way it is.
It's not, I mean,
you can't force people to vote.
Right. You can't force them to vote. And you can't say, well, only 10% of people who live in the city came out to vote for this, so that doesn't matter. Look, I mean, if you want participation, then you have to, you have to encourage people to get out. And if the people don't do it, that's what they have to deal with then. That's the results of the election are what they have to live with.
It's so interesting because these big elections, the presidential election, even the midterms, right, for senators and representatives, they're big, sexy federal elections, and everybody likes to get all ramped up to go vote for them and wear their stickers. That's awesome. But do you know what really affects your day-to-day life? Local government.
Of course.
Really does. Your city's lead prosecutor is going to affect your city. And those elections, going out to vote on those days, it's not hyped up. You don't see all the social media posts. It's not as sexy, but they matter in the same way that school board elections matter. I know it's hard to get revved up for these local elections, but in the same way that people don't vote for the president based on foreign policy or how he withdrew from Afghanistan, they vote for him on, how are you going to affect my wallet tomorrow? That's how we should vote in these local elections, have that same motivation.
Let's go to Kirkwood and visit with Mary on KMOX. Thanks for being with us today, Mary.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing okay. How are you?
I'm kind of hyped up because I watched Lester Holt last night with the woman going on the door, going beating on that woman's door. That was pitiful. Where is the St. Louis police? Where is Kim Gardner? I mean, all these cars are getting stolen. All these people with a razor blade cutting off women's purses. But if she had came to my door, I would have been on the world news. It wouldn't have been how she knocked. It would have been that an ambulance head also somebody would have carried her away. Thank you and have a nice day.
All right. Well, thank you, Mary. I hope Mary doesn't have to put somebody in an ambulance.
But you hear the passion, right?
Yeah.
You hear the passion, like where are the police? Where's Kim Gardner? Why is this not being taken care of? The car's being stolen. Like Mary's living, wanting to live her life without fear of being harassed by a woman, like this racist woman in South City, or her car getting stolen, and feeling like the bodies of authority and our elected officials are not protecting us. That's how, she feels that passion.
Whether it's incompetence, miscommunication, just absolute dereliction of duty, whatever it is, it's not good enough and it has to be better. And I'll be honest with you, there are times I really try to feel, overall, I try to feel hopeful about what we are, but I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you there are times where it feels really hopeless. Like there isn't going to be any, in my lifetime, or my young lifetime. I guess I'm still young. No, you keep telling me I'm old. But in my lifetime now, it just doesn't feel like there's going to be any significant positive change where 10 years from now, we can all look back and go, man, we are in a great position now as a city and therefore as an entire region.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that way to me. So, and I really am I'm trying. I really want to be hopeful. I really, really do. I believe in this city. I believe in what the potential is of it. But sometimes I just don't feel like we're going to be close to realizing any of it.
Yeah. It's the same when you look at the city's problems and why it feels so overwhelming. It's like walking into a garage and seeing that the oil needs to be changed in the car. And maybe you've got a flat tire, but all the tools are there and you fix okay, here's what we need to do. With St. Louis, it feels like not only do you walk into the garage and see that there's a flat tire, but the entire car is strewn across the yard and the garage, and all the tools have been stolen. So now you're like, I don't even know where to start to put this car back together.
Feels like a lot, doesn't it?
Feels like a lot.
We'll see what Dan in St. Louis has to say on KMOX. Thanks for calling in, Dan.
Good morning. I have a couple comments. My first comment is the people of St. Louis overwhelmingly reelected Kim Gardner. So they got what they asked for. That's my first comment.
Okay.
My second comment is that there's perception is reality. When you see multiple cars broken into every night at Cardinal baseball games, and you see murder virtually every day on KSDK or on Fox 2 News, people are going to necessarily go where those things don't happen. And my question is, if St. Louis is the vibrant city that it's purported to be, why are the Illinois counties and St. Charles County and Warren County and Lincoln County thriving and people running like crazy from St. Louis City? I lived in Ferguson most of my life till I was about 35. It was a nice place to live. I wouldn't go there now if you paid me.
Yeah, and Dan, we appreciate the phone call. I know that's how people view it. I personally, in the city, I live in the city. I have been since I came back to St. Louis. I personally do not feel in danger when I'm out and about. At the most, there are times where I'll feel unease, but that's it. However, I can't tell somebody who doesn't live here, don't feel that way because it's fine because I'm not them. I can tell them it's okay, but I can't make them perceive it to be okay. So perception does matter.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm almost a bridge between you and the people who live way far out in, say, like West County or South County or St. Charles. I've lived far away from the city in West County. I've lived in the city, and I'm wary. I know when I feel unsafe. I also know that I'm used to a little bit of, I don't know, just living in a city and how you have to be careful. I don't know. Perception matters, though.
Amy Marks Core's Chris Ranji on the show. We've got Major Garrett from CBS News. He'll join us next on KMOX.
I consider myself sort of a student of life.
What's on Dave Glover's mind?
I've noticed recently that we are going through a reset spiritually. But if that's going to go away in large measures, it's going to be replaced with something. Even if it's just, I am God, I am Dave, I am this, I can do it all. Like we're going through weird times, and the people who either never had religion or have given it up are looking to replace it with something, and I just think that's fascinating.
The Dave Glover Show, weekdays beginning at 1 on KMOX.
Lombardo Homes is going tropical. That's right, Lombardo is celebrating the grand opening of their newest display at Sutton Farms in Wentzville with a road rally on Saturday, February 18th. The hot grand prize is an all-inclusive vacation to the resort of your choice. Follow Lombardo clues from display to display. Post your journey on social media, win fun door prizes, tour beautiful homes, and end with a grand opening party at Sutton Farms where you will submit your entry for the Paradise Vacation. Restrictions apply. For more information, visit lombardohomes.com.
Love is in the air.
It's a brand new day.
Birds are singing duets together.
And squirrels are chasing each other across the treetops.
Everyone has a twinkle in their eye.
Boom, chicka boom.
Don't let junk get in the way.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
And you'll be back to your old self again.
We've got magic in our fingertips.
And that's why everyone starts dancing.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
At 10:30, we have cloudy skies and 45 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. Embattled GOP Congressman George Santos worked for a company that allegedly orchestrated a Ponzi scheme, attracted scrutiny from federal regulators, according to a witness who has fielded questions from investigators. In an interview, Tiffany Bogosian said that Santos, while working at Harbor City Capital, tried to get a client of hers to invest $300,000 without knowing what was being invested in. The company was later shut down by federal regulators. Twitter has been restored in Turkey after the government temporarily blocked the social media platform. KCBS reporter Matt Bigler says the blackout may have been a reaction to criticism of the government's earthquake response.
Turkey temporarily banned Twitter in an effort to quash what the government called misinformation about the earthquake. Gözde Özkuzey with the Mesopotamian news agency in Ankara says they were not able to go online for several hours.
This is also a disaster because people are giving their locations on the rubble from Twitter, and this is how they get help.
U.S. Senator Josh Hawley announcing today that he will launch an investigation into the Washington University Transgender Center at Children's Hospital. His actions are based on an article that claims abuses and potential malpractice regarding minors at the clinic. Taking a look at the commute. Emergency vehicles 44 eastbound past Big Bend Boulevard. The left lane is closed now. And there's a stall 270 southbound at 170. That stall is on the right shoulder. And the crash eastbound 44 past Big Bend has the two left lanes closed. Emergency vehicles, again, are on the scene at that location. I believe the very latest is that just the left lane is closed in that location. The KMOX forecast, look for a windy, chilly afternoon, the high in the 40s. It'll feel more like near 30. Brisk and colder tonight, partly cloudy, low of 33. Right now it's 45 degrees. It feels like 38 downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
Right now on the Odyssey app, download No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith on some of his latest podcasts.
Oh, yeah, I sat down with Draymond Green and we got into everything in regards to Jordan Poole and what happened between those two. I also had a hilarious conversation with Bill Maher on the state of politics in today's day and age, and Elon Musk, of all people, of course. Plus, you know, I had to talk about my feelings on the whole Rihanna, Beyonce brouhaha.
No Mercy with Stephen A. Smith. Get it today on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. YourEyeDoc.com, 314-966-5000.
Hi, Kent Newbold for Newbold BMW. Your BMW is worth more than ever before, so don't trust your maintenance to a bunch of amateurs. Come see the factory-trained technicians at Newbold BMW in O'Fallon, Illinois, or at newboldbmw.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
Broadcasting from the underlined Three Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
KMOX celebrates Black History Month, honoring Black icons.
Halle Berry is an actress who began her career as a model, winning several competitive titles, including first runner-up to Miss USA in 1986. Her most impressive award came in 2001 when she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in Monsters Ball, remaining the only Black actress to win this award.
KMOX, celebrating Black artists, athletes, and trailblazers all month long. More at KMOX.com.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley, and I'll be in Jupiter, Florida at Cardinal Spring Training this coming Monday. I'll be bringing you the latest from Redbirds Camp with reports mornings and afternoons and Sports Open Line weeknights from the TR Hughes Homes Broadcast Center.
Spring training coverage, sponsored in part by Norm's Bargain Barn on your home of the Cardinals, KMOX.
It worries me, Amy, when Major Garrett doesn't answer the phone because it makes me believe something big has happened.
Something's up
Something is up.
at the Circle K.
Maybe worse than Genghis Khan coming back from the past.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we're efforting Major Garrett for our weekly visit here on KMOX. Major is wonderful, and we
And-
love him very much.
Yeah, and you know what's sad is I have a whole notebook right here full of questions. Anyway, I mean, you
Poor
just
Amy.
hear me like scratching out the questions. So I do have a question for you, Ron. You can give me your thoughts on this because more and more is coming out about the Chinese spy balloon. And what I didn't realize, well, we kept saying the only reason that the White House, the U.S. government even addressed the balloon is that we saw it. They couldn't not address it. So it was a local photographer in Billings, I think it was the Billings Gazette in Montana, spotted the balloon and took a picture of it and said, well, what is this? That's a big deal because we know that there have been balloons in U.S.
Right.
airspace before. I had never heard of them. It had happened in the Trump administration. It had happened in the Biden administration. We know it had happened before. We know that, at least my understanding is, with some of the balloons, we didn't know until they had left the airspace and there were questions. However, the U.S. government knew this balloon was headed our way when it was over the Aleutian Islands, when it was over Alaska. Why didn't they deal with it then? Why did they let it get to the more populated areas of the United States, make the transit across the entire United States? Why was that okay? And then also, if this photographer in Billings hadn't taken a picture of it, granted, somebody else would have seen it, they weren't going to address it, most likely. They were forced into telling the American public about it.
Yeah,
All of
maybe
this
not.
seems very odd to me.
I don't know. I sometimes with this balloon story, I really feel like a huge section of the country is just looking for something to be outraged about.
But I'm not trying
This is something that Biden messed up. And yeah, he screws up. There's no question about that. He does. I just don't know if this is one of those things because from what I have been hearing lately about the balloon, what we've been reading is that they've been tracking these things before. As you have mentioned, there have been several of them. They never thought they were dangerous enough to report to the president in the past, and that includes President Trump. But the feeling was, okay, it's nothing to worry about. But then this one took a turn.
Yeah.
This one took a turn and then started to head toward Montana. But by that point, they didn't want to shoot it down over the country. Now, if they can jam the signal, if they can gather intelligence from it as it's moving across the country, and then they can shoot it down and then pick up all the pieces and do whatever with it and have it sent to the FBI for analysis. I don't know. I just don't feel like this is an outrageous story. And I feel like we're really trying to be mad at Biden about something.
See, and I don't.
There's
because
plenty to be mad about with him.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't one of the things.
But see, that's the thing. I'm more questioning the U.S. government over Biden in the sense that I don't know how much Biden knows about balloons. Probably not very much. He's relying on those in charge of such things, on the military, the Department of Defense, to make these decisions. I'm not going to pretend that Biden's like, well, I know exactly what to do in this balloon situation. Am I mad at Biden regarding Afghanistan? Absolutely. About the balloon? No. And the outrage is not predicated on some potential emergency or disaster, like, oh, there could be nuclear capabilities, atmospheric nukes to take out the electric system. No, I'm actually not even as worried about that. It's kind of the principle that China, our greatest geopolitical adversary, had no problem sending a balloon, a piece of equipment, over sovereign territory, our airspace. And I feel
But do you think we're not doing that to them?
it's okay if we are. Like I said, I assume we are. But what I'm saying is once you're caught, the key is to not get caught. if you're caught,
Yeah.
you have to act accordingly. China got caught. If we've gotten caught and they shoot down our balloon, fine, shoot down our balloon. Did you get caught or not? It's the fact that we got caught, they got caught, and the U.S. government the Department of Defense wasn't super active before it hit mainland the United States. And what I mean is, even if that balloon were completely benign, let's say it was a pink balloon with a heart on it that said, we love the U.S., love China. And that's it. There's nothing else on it. I would say, shoot it down. Sorry, you can't fly into our airspace. Like, I don't care if it's a streamer. I don't care if it's a peace message.
But
you can't, a geopolitical adversary cannot send anything into
Okay.
our airspace.
Here's my objection to it. I'm not saying the military is 100% on every decision they make, because they're not. They're going to make mistakes. But you have a lot of really smart people who understand all of this stuff. They understand espionage. They understand spying. They understand just military practice. They understand threats. Is there any entity in our country, maybe even in the world, that understands threat better than the United States military does?
Right.
As a monolith. I think they're pretty good at that stuff.
Pretty good.
So if they see that thing coming and they think it is a threat, like, oh my God, it just absolutely cannot cross over into our borders, we're going to take this thing down, or people are going to die, or they're going to gather intelligence that is going to put us at severe risk. Maybe I'm naive for this, and I'm conceding I could be naive for this, but I trust the United States military to make that recommendation that that thing has to come down as soon as it gets close to our border. And it did cross over Canada too, right?
Because Alaska,
Well,
the
I mean-
Aleutian Islands down into Montana. So yes.
Yeah, so they can't shoot it down over Canada. It's not our airspace.
Sure.
So they could have asked Canada to do it. But if they're saying this poses a risk to the people on the ground if we shoot it down, or it's going to be harder to recover the materials if it lands in like a mountain range, for example, then we want to wait till it gets to water where we can get divers, we can get down there in our within our borders before it gets to international waters. Then we'll do that, and we'll recover it, and we'll analyze it, and we'll learn some things. I feel like a lot of people were outraged for the sake of being outraged, because we always have to be pissed off at the other side all the time.
I think there were a lot of people, but I do think there were who were just wanted to be upset. But I think there are probably a lot of people like me that I trust the Department of Defense, but I have a lot of questions. Here's another topic I wanted to ask, Major. I want to ask you, I think you'll be good with this question, because we're going to fall on different sides of entitlements. So we know the kerfuffle that happened in the State of the Union address when President Biden said some Republicans want to sunset Medicare and Social Security, and then a huge pushback from Republicans because it's Rick Scott who proposed that in a bill that would never, ever get passed through the House. And the key word there is sunset, because sometimes I think we use the phrase like you can't touch Social Security, and what we mean is you can't end it. But there's a difference between touching Social Security and Medicare and sunsetting it. Nobody in their right mind wants to sunset it. I think we can all agree, bipartisan support, Social Security and Medicare has to continue on. So here's my question to you. A government trustees report showed that with no action from Congress, that the Medicare trust fund would run out or be very low by 2028. Social Security reserves would last through 2034. So nonpartisan experts said to avoid involuntary benefit cuts, we need to increase taxes and or make some benefit cuts of some type that we determine are okay. But since it's such a hot issue, is there a way to talk about entitlement reform or Medicare reform, Social Security reform, without it going off the rails in the way that the gun conversation goes off the rails?
There should be, because it would be common sense to do that. But I think we've proven as a legislature that we're not capable of it. I mean, we should be able to, but I don't think that would be the case.
Because if, let's say, Kevin McCarthy and other leading Republicans in the House say, okay, here are some reforms we need to do. Now, granted, remember this nonpartisan experts, government trustees have said we've got to do something to make sure we can keep this going.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I mean, Amy, there's no doubt about that something has to be done. We all know it's got to be because we have to keep it going. That's the reason. But there are people in Congress, and you can say it's a minority now, or people don't really want to do that. Do you trust the party to hold back those like Rick Scott or Mike Lee, who had said, I wanted to pull up from the roots? And he said it years ago, but it's in his mind. It's a thing that he wants to do. Do you think the party would be willing to not let that seep into the real national conversation and become part of the actual thinking, where you have a lot of Republicans start to look at it and go, well, maybe we should let it just sunset?
I do think they would. And I know that.
Well, I hope you're right, because I don't know if I have that confidence that you do.
No, I know. And I know the Republican Party hasn't really stood up to the crazies. Like they're not
Very
standing
well.
up to Marjorie Taylor Greene
They
when
just
she
Kevin McCarthy had to concede to the crazies, the small minority of crazies in the House of Representatives, to get elected. So why should I think that they would be able to hold back those crazies who want to get rid of Social Security?
The short answer is because the crazies want Social Security. And what I mean by that is
those crazies.
The crazies are populist. So even though there's Marjorie Taylor Greene who can be completely anti-Semitic and talk about Jewish space lasers, and the Republican Party is loath to really censor Marjorie Taylor Greene, the crazies, along with the non-crazies, are overwhelmingly for entitlements. They just are. As you mentioned,
well, certain entitlements.
As Joe Biden slyly pointed out, Republicans don't care about spending too much these days, for the most part. They want to spend. Maybe they don't want to spend as much as the Democratic Party, but they want to spend.
No, they want to spend just on different stuff.
But with this is a populist movement with Social Security and Medicare, and the GOP is going that way. And I do think that Kevin McCarthy would stand up to the Rick Scott, because it might just be Rick Scott and Mike Lee.
A text message, Amy, says, Chris is a fool regarding the Chinese balloon. Did we not learn anything from Pearl Harbor? Look, if you think the Chinese are going to send a balloon over to mainland U.S. and drop bombs on us, we need to have a talk. We need to have a serious talk, you and me. And I need you to give me all of your stuff, because you cannot be trusted with any of it. That's awesome.
Well,
what, Amy?
I'm concerned about the balloon. Not for that reason.
They're not going to look.
It's not for that reason. Just
China.
more on
China
principle.
wants to hold us down. They don't want to destroy us, and we don't want to destroy them either. Our game, the game between the United States and China, is to hold each other down. It is not to attack us with bombs. It's to keep us from. We want each one to be prosperous to a point. We don't want the other one to dominate us. That's why we're just trying to hold each other down. It's not like a thing where we want to wipe the other one off the face of the earth. It wouldn't make any sense.
Look
Pearl
at you
Harbor.
boiling it down.
It's it's not easy.
It's very simple. China and the U.S.
The China-United States relationship is extremely simple.
And this guy is an expert in relationships.
But do you think I'm wrong about that?
I think you make a lot of sense, Ron.
Yeah, like
I mean, to be honest, I think
they need us and we need them.
It's an oversimplification, but to a point, there is that element of we kind of need each other. Unfortunately, the United States needs China more than I would like it to.
Right.
I wouldn't mind to pull ourselves away a little bit.
Well, I think that'd be fantastic. Start making all of our stuff here instead of making it there and importing it back.
Fair trade.
Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji, did you see this? Is next on KMOX.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Did you know that romance can be eco-friendly? Simply give your sweetheart an experience rather than a gift. You can plan a night on the town that includes dinner at a local restaurant, ballroom dancing, or tickets to the theater. You could also plan a couple's massage or even a hot air balloon ride. You can create a great memory without creating any physical waste. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Did you know that romance can be eco-friendly? Simply give your sweetheart an experience rather than a gift. You can plan a night on the town that includes dinner at a local restaurant, ballroom dancing, or tickets to the theater. You could also plan a couple's massage or even a hot air balloon ride. You can create a great memory without creating any physical waste. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Prepare an emergency kit, sign up for local alerts, and make a family communications plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. A public service message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back to the show.
Yeah, the show
on KMOX.
Did you see that thing? I can't believe it. Something is obviously wrong.
This is a joke, right?
Oh my God. Are you freaking kidding me? No way.
You gotta be kidding me. Don't feel bad. There's no way you could have known that.
Now, did you see this? With Chris and Amy on the show.
Amy, you love cats, don't you?
Oh my gosh, cats are evil. Okay, guys, before you all get mad at me, all the cat people, and there are some very, very nice cat people out there. However, it has been shown, and yes, I just used that phrase, experts say that if cats were bigger, they would kill you and eat you.
That's true.
It's true. That's what cats do in the wild. It's what they're supposed to do. And then we brought them inside and kept them small.
Well, here's the news.
Yeah.
Illinois State Representative Barbara Hernandez wants to make the job of killing you easier for house cats. She has proposed legislation, the Democrats from Aurora, Illinois, where Wayne and Garth are from.
Mm-hmm.
She has proposed legislation that would make it illegal to declaw cats.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I am with you. I do not like cats.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're stupid. They're not stupid. They're very smart. But it's a pet, right? What's the point of a pet if it's always hiding somewhere? So basically, you're just paying to feed it and then to clean it up, but you never see the cat.
Do you know why I could never have a cat?
What?
I can't take any more rejection.
Okay.
And cats don't need you.
Yeah, they don't need you.
They look at you and you're like, hi, and you want to pet them and they turn away from you. All
You're
cats
a source of food for them.
Yes,
they're
they
not
use
excited
you.
to see you.
No.
Anyway,
I just don't want to be rejected any more than I already am.
Barbara Hernandez says it is very hurtful for the animal to declaw them, and it's something I don't think anyone should ever go through. We just need to train them that, hey, there's other items you can scratch. However, stay away from the furniture or my arm. I added that last part in.
Okay, yeah.
Cats with the claws, and especially the little claws. I would almost rather have a tiger with big claws than have the cat with the little tiny claws that are like needles on your skin.
Mm-hmm. Now, I heard this story on CBS News. I think it was CBS News this morning during Total Information AM. And they listed the reasons, pretty awful reasons, why declawing cats is such a bad idea and is so cruel and inhumane. And I think they should have stopped a sentence earlier than they did, because they talked about how declawing cats it's like ripping out, the toenails, or it's like an amputation, and how it can mess up their ability to walk. It can cause back problems. It could cause spine problems and other issues down the road like arthritis. And the Humane Society said it would be like cutting off your fingers at the last knuckle, like really grotesque.
With cats?
With cats. And so they're describing just how bad it is and how the cat could feel uncomfortable for the rest of its life. Stop there. Instead, they said, like it's wearing a pair of uncomfortable shoes.
What?
I know.
I don't know.
That
about
was
that.
the least convincing. And all it did was now make me picture a cat with uncomfortable shoes on walking around. I felt like everything they said leading up to that was actually pretty compelling because it felt so horrible. I had no idea decline was so violent. But then when they ended it with like wearing uncomfortable shoes,
Yeah.
it didn't. It
Look, I'm not
unsold
here
it.
to hurt cats. I don't want to hurt any animals except for the ones that I eat. But I don't even want to hurt them. I just
No.
want to eat them. But I don't know if I don't know.
If it's as bad as
here's
they
the-
say, I
here's
feel
the best
awful.
solution.
Yeah.
Best solution: just don't have cats.
Right.
Don't declaw the cats. Just don't have them.
Have them spayed or neutered,
I
and
know.
then try to keep the population down.
That's right. Have your pet spayed or neutered. That's what Bob Barker used to say every day.
That's exactly right.
Amy, do you want to tell us, or should we take this? I believe we have a cat defender on the line. Should we take the cat
yeah,
defender?
probably.
All right, let's talk to
We're the
Jim.
voice of the people.
Jim is in St. Peter's and is with us on KMOX. Hi, Jim.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
We're
I just wanted to tell you both, just like both of you, growing up, I had no use for cats. I was a dog person, what have you. But my wife of 15 years, we have a Siberian cat. They're originally, from Siberia, and there's a few dealers in the United States that breed them and sell them. And I can honestly tell you both this: our cat is more like a dog than I've ever seen half the dogs. He's friendly. He always wants to get involved. He loves people. He wants to play with them all the time. And I'm just amazed that he's a cat, but he is, okay? And I just want to let you know that the other good thing about him is I used to be, or I was, I think I still am, allergic to most cats.
Mm-hmm.
When I'd be around cats when I was young, my neck would break out and stuff like that. Well, these cats are hyperallergenic, and I guess it has something to do, I was told, with, the breed developed in the Siberian winter. And for some reason, they don't have that allergic dander most people have a problem with. So you might want to check it out. I know you're skeptical. I was too, but I can tell you he's the friendliest, funnest cat I've ever had in my life.
Well,
so I just
Jim,
want to let y'all know that.
We appreciate the call, but
Yeah.
thank you for calling in and listening to the show. Jim's gaslighting us.
Poor Jim.
Jim's just trying to. He's lying about these cats. I know what they're doing.
Rachel
Jim's
Zimmerman.
Siberian cat, he doesn't know this yet,
Mhm.
is going to kill him in his sleep.
Oh. R.I.P. Jim?
Yeah, it was good knowing Jim.
I would say Rachel Zimmerman, big cat person, nicest lady I've ever met. And she likes cats.
How many does she have?
One.
Good. That's all you need if you're going to have any. All right, Amy Marks Court, we do appreciate the call. We love you. You're listening to KMOX.
I grew up on, and I really love spaghetti and meatballs. When we were little, we went from baby bibs to towels because back then my mom did the laundry and they had to buy the clothes. Tomato sauce is very, very hostile to clothing. Now as an adult, I realize you need a bib. Bottom line, don't want a white shirt, don't eat pasta, or use a bib. What does this have to do with heating and cooling? Again, guys, absolutely nothing. But if your furnace does break this winter, which is going to be a cold winter, putting all the pasta aside, even while you're eating it, you can still call one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. That is 314-293-2600. And if you're asking who the hell this is, it's Bart Inman. You can go to the internet thing and do bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at ThrottleNet. So I'm so very proud to have represented the guys at ThrottleNet for all of these years. They are the IT geniuses. George and Mike are the owners. Fantastic guys. They can do all of your IT. They can do a portion of your IT. They have the best Apple support team. Their response time is under 2 minutes. Think about that, under 2 minutes. Something goes sideways with your IT, and they are solving your problem and they're solving your problem within 2 minutes. Now, let's talk about cybersecurity. Most companies in St. Louis don't have cyber liability insurance. You get hit, you're on the hook, you're probably out of business. With ThrottleNet, if we represent you, we protect you. The first $500,000 that someone hits you for, which isn't going to happen, but if it does, we pay it. $500,000. That's what you're covered for with ThrottleNet. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS for all the information.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The voice of the Billikens, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Did you know that St. Louis Composting is open all year long? It may be winter, but it's the perfect time to start planning for next spring's bountiful garden and lawn. For more information, visit stlcompost.com.
We could talk about how complicated other banks make it to redeem credit card rewards. Or we could talk about how with Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. I mean, talk about amazing. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, we have cloudy skies, 43 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch. On Capitol Hill, Southwest Airlines executives getting grilled over last year's meltdown.
We messed up.
Chief Operating Officer Andrew Watterson says they're making sure this doesn't happen again.
We are intensely focused on reducing the risk of repeating the operational disruption and repairing the trust of our company's had and earned over a 52-year history.
Paul Hudson is the president of Flyers Rights and said what happened was unacceptable.
Passengers were unable to talk to any airport representative in person, on the phone, or online. All this occurred while other airlines had empty seats.
Thousands of flights were canceled, the mess affecting more than 2 million travelers. Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
Hundreds of thousands of students who have dropped off the public school rolls since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic are unaccounted for. An analysis by the Associated Press, Stanford University's Big Local News Project, and Stanford education professor Thomas Dee found 240,000 students in 21 states who have gone missing from schools. Researchers say they did not move out of state and did not sign up for private school or homeschool. The recovery of that Chinese spy balloon continuing off the coast of South Carolina, but efforts are being hampered by bad weather, as CBS News correspondent Cammie McCormick reports.
Rough seas are suspending the recovery operation today. On Capitol Hill, Lieutenant General Douglas Sims told Congress,
"We recover pieces each day. I think we're thinking days to 2 weeks in terms of everything, but it does continue in conjunction with the FBI."
The Navy has recovered some of the scaffolding and electronics from the balloon at the bottom of the ocean and has weighted down other debris to prevent it from being moved by heavy seas.
A bill filed in the Missouri Senate to keep Chinese companies from buying land in the Show Me State. Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe supports the bill.
Talk about China. They're one of the main, if not the sole resources of sending fentanyl across our borders and killing literally hundreds of people in Missouri and thousands across the country every day. Why in the world would we want them to be able to own land here in Missouri? There's just no good reason.
Kehoe says he would not be in favor of stopping all countries from buying land in Missouri. He mentioned allies like Israel and Ireland, who already conduct life and plant science research in the state that he says helps the global economy. The Crimes Against Persons Unit working a homicide in Bellefontaine neighbors. It happened just after midnight in the area of Ashbrook Drive and Golden Drive. St. Louis County Police found an adult male dead inside a vehicle with a gunshot wound. From the KMOX Business Desk, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has a new president and CEO, Martha Garcia Campen. She comes to the chamber from St. Charles Community College, where she was the chief of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Campen succeeds Eduardo Platon, who left last month after just a year on the job. The Dow from Stifel this hour is up 92 points at 34,041. Checking the roads, couple problems out there, both on Interstate 44. The first, a crash westbound 44 near Six Flags Road. That has the right lane closed, so watch for that. Also, eastbound 44 near Big Bend. Emergency crews working with a situation there, and the 2 right lanes are closed. Weather sponsored by Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm.
KMOX AccuWeather, windy and chilly, varying amounts of clouds, maybe a shower early. Temperatures start in the low 50s, fall back into the 40s, and real feels fall to near 30. Cold tonight, down to 33. Quite chilly tomorrow. Some sunny breaks, high 42, upper 40s, better Saturday, and great Sunday, low to mid 50s with some sunshine. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Steve DeVore in the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We have 42 degrees in Florissant. It's 41 in St. Peter's and 43 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
There's something wrong with the world today. I don't know.
I'd like to clarify something real quick.
Okay.
We were told by a caller during the
Angry
break,
caller.
angry caller, who said they can't believe that I said on the radio, on the air, that all cats are evil.
It's inappropriate.
Well, I would like to clarify something.
What? What?
Amy said that.
I
See,
think I did.
I'm taking the bullets for you.
Thank you, Ron.
I guess that's what I'm here for.
I
You
did
could
say
say
that.
something inappropriate, and then I get blamed for it.
Listen, I'm just trying to protect people. If their cats were bigger, they would kill you and eat you.
We were talking about the special prosecutor, the possibility of St. Louis, and you're probably right about that. Yeah, cats would eat you if they were big enough. The possibility of a special prosecutor to be appointed in the city of St. Louis because of the crime, and there is a push for this in the Missouri legislature. To join us to talk about that, Steve Butts is a Missouri state representative from District 81. That's in South City. Steve joins us on the show this morning on KMOX. We appreciate your time, Steve. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Amy. Hope you guys are having a good day.
We are doing okay. So we know there's the first hurdle passed for this potential legislation. Lane Roberts out of Joplin, Missouri is the sponsor of the bill, and this would be part of that crime bill. And overall, what are your thoughts on the idea of there being a special prosecutor potentially in St. Louis?
So first off, Lane Roberts, Representative Roberts, he's well respected on both sides of the aisle. And during the summer, there was this interim committee that had 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. Donna Behringer from South City was one of those members. And they just worked on all kinds of issues. And part of it was creating this special prosecutor, not strictly for the city of St. Louis, but any county entity if a murder rate exceeded 35 per 100,000. And of course, St. Louis City at this current time is the only one that meets that qualification. So, I mean, it is certainly aimed at getting a special prosecutor into the city of St. Louis. We had a vigorous debate, maybe 3.5 hours yesterday, and we just took the final vote today. That didn't go that well, kind of crashed and burned with a bunch of anger. But the bottom line is, I think those of us that live in the city and beyond the city, it affects the whole region, crime in the city. There's a feeling that the special prosecutor, which would be appointed by the governor and have a staff of 15 attorneys and 15 support staff, would be there to prosecute violent gun crimes, murders, carjackings, those type things. And it just feels like we need it. I think Kim Gardner's office, I'm sure they're trying to do their best, but it's just not working, and we have to do something. In its final version, you guys might know how this goes. There was originally an important piece to this, and they would have gotten substantial, I believe, bipartisan support had this remained, but basic gun regulation that said youths, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, 11-year-olds cannot just walk around in public spaces with firearms. And that got stripped out. And despite mine and others' best efforts to convince the other side that this is a critical piece, Yes, we need the special prosecutor to help prosecuting, but if we don't do something about people under the age of 18 being able to just openly carry weapons, it's not going to be effective. And that's just where I stand. So eventually I had to vote no, even though I am in support of the special prosecutor.
Okay, so just to clarify, the special prosecutor, as it's presented, had bipartisan support. And there was a stipulation that it would allow law enforcement to prosecute, or at least make it illegal for people under 18 to carry all firearms or just assault weapons.
No, just firearms.
Okay,
so,
firearms.
and not mainly assault weapons. It's Glocks and 9mm, and we've just become so broad. You don't need a CCW any longer. You don't need to be a minimum age. And with SEPA, that gets a lot of press. We have overridden, in effect, any federal gun regulation, which might prohibit a minor from carrying a firearm. It's just perfectly legal. You guys remember that video, those kids just walking down Washington Avenue, or the kids in Soulard just walking around with guns, whether they're assault style or 9mm or 22s or anything else, any firearm. People say, well, that's crazy. You shouldn't be able to do that, but you can legally do that. What they can't do is point it at you and use it in a menacing fashion. Of course, if they pull the trigger, it's a crime. But I think there's a lot of common sense people in the middle that say it's crazy to say younger teens can just walk around carrying guns. And I tried to debate that vigorously yesterday, and I lost that debate. So
okay, the
12-year-olds can still carry guns.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
and everybody's good with that.
And you think, well, is it everybody? Because you think there are a lot of reasonable people who agree with you on this, and I think people listening would agree with you on this, that we don't need 13-year-olds walking down the street with weapons. They're just
straight party line vote yesterday, Chris. Pretty shocking. Every Republican except one voted to allow what you just said, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds to walk around carrying guns. Every Democrat, voted against that. And I'm like, how can this be a straight party line vote? But it just is. There in Jeff City with the state reps, with the outstate vote, we just can't get past. There's this huge difference between Washington Avenue and Washington County, where, say, Potosi is. There's a world of difference, to the point that, we can't even have, you remember 3 years ago now, plus Governor Parson got in trouble for just having a meeting with the mayors of St. Louis and Columbia and Kansas City to just say, well, let's have some different gun regulations just in an urban environment. Yeah, that didn't go anywhere at all either.
Okay, so this would have restricted people, youths under the age of 18 from openly carrying firearms in the city. This would be focused just
in
on
public places.
Public place across the state, or just in the city?
No, across the state.
Across the state.
And
okay.
without adult supervision. So that brings in that whole, you've gone through the hunter safety program, and you're otherwise qualified to be 13 years old or to be hunting squirrels, or you're on the youth deer hunt with your, guardian, your parent, whatever, your older brother. That's all still legal. This was just unsupervised kids under the age of 18. And I would make the argument, okay, if you don't like the under 18, let's make it 15 and under. There's no age limit that I can get these other Republicans in Jeff City. I mean, we couldn't agree that 11-year-olds shouldn't have firearms.
So, and attaching that stipulation to the special prosecutor, because you could argue they both deal with crime, but two separate issues. The circuit attorney's office is overwhelmed. There are over 200 murder cases pending. Everyone agrees that's a crisis that needs to be dealt with. Does that stipulation with the under 18 attached to the special prosecutor case, because Democrats feel that's the only leverage they have for ever getting that passed in Missouri?
I would like to think that's the case, and I thought that was the case, because certainly, Amy, I'm the lifelong city resident, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do think the current circuit attorney's overwhelmed, but I'll bet you past circuit attorneys have been overwhelmed with, just violent crime that they have to prosecute. And if you could have any ability for the police to just confiscate the weapons from kids, it would improve things. You remember just the case in my neighborhood, Crondelet Baptist Church, the pastor that was all over the place. I mean, those kids were so young with a gun, which was legal. Now, once they pointed at him, no longer legal, but it was legal for that kid to possess that gun. So young, they didn't even know how to start the car and drive, right? I mean, it's just insane. But it passed. It's going to move on to the Senate. Whether it'll get through the Senate is another story. But the special prosecutor has now been separated from, and the gun piece has been eliminated from, not just separated from. It was voted down, stripped out and voted down. And Donna Behringer yesterday had the amendment just to put it back on, just what we're talking about, just no minors walking around in public places unsupervised. You could still walk around with your parent carrying the gun, but even that was too much for him.
Missouri Representative Steve Butts is with us here on KMOX. Now, is there a way to estimate how many gun crimes happen in St. Louis when an underage person, a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever, is walking down the street with a weapon? Police can't do anything about it because that's the law, and then they end up committing a crime later that day or the next day. I mean, how many of these crimes would be prevented by this particular law?
I don't know the exact percentage, but Chris, I could just say, just think of it common sense wise. If you say, under 18, how many times juveniles just in the news carried on KMOX are involved with gun crimes, including the 13-year-old with the carjacking. Certainly, I think everybody agrees that is a big part. Now, there's all kinds of people 18 and above that are also using firearms in crimes. But I just think the younger you are, and I mean truly young kids, they just should not have weapons, be able to have weapons unsupervised. That part's crazy. So I think it would have some effect. I will try to dig into that a little bit. I know the police would like it as a tool because when we had concealed carry, if a police officer had probable cause, they just see some, teenage boys look young and they clearly can see a weapon in their waistband. The cop could stop them and say, "Show me your CCW license." And if they didn't have it, they could confiscate the weapon.
Steve, when you, the way you put it, that Washington Avenue is very different than Washington, Missouri, and the same way that Vermont, which has very loose gun laws but very few homicides, is different than St. Louis. We're just a different region. Right. What recourse does the city have if the more rural areas, representatives of more rural areas of Missouri, are hesitant to pass gun laws, but the city sees that its community has different needs and demands? What recourse does the city have? Is that city government have any power over that? Do state reps, are they able to work in different details and set parameters for cities versus more rural areas?
Very little, Amy. So let's go. Most of this is state gun statute. And, with the decline in population in the city of St. Louis over the past 50, 60 years, the city of St. Louis is less than 5% of the state of Missouri. So I think there's 7 or 8 of us, don't quote me on that exactly, around 8 city reps, of which I'm one, of course. But at one time, not that long ago, the city of St. Louis was 15 or 20% of the state's population. Now we're less than 5. It's like that famous line from Hamilton, you don't have the votes. And we just don't have the votes to even, we just don't have the votes. We got to keep working on that and somehow convincing outstate legislators that having a different set of gun laws for unaccompanied youth, it's different in St. Louis City and Dutchtown or anywhere, for example, than it is if a couple of 12-year-olds are going to go squirrel hunting. Even if they want to go squirrel hunting, I tried to make the argument yesterday, I'm a lifelong hunter, that if we could have just the same gun regulations on youthful hunters as we do, but we couldn't even get that, because you can't just take a gun and go out squirrel hunting. You have to go through the hunter safety class, and we don't even have that.
That's I mean, it just seems so reasonable. I can't understand the pushback against it. Steve, last thing from me. You are in favor of the idea of a special prosecutor. Some of the pushback against it from people in the city is Kim Gardner was overwhelmingly elected twice now, and now you're taking that away from the people who voted for her. What is your response to that?
I'm going to say I agree with that argument, but for me, the crisis we're in, the greater good, she'll still be the prosecuting attorney. It's not like, we don't have this removal mechanism, and there is going to be another election, and elections have consequences. I would hope to think, and maybe this is being too hopeful, that Kim Gardner's office could work with the special prosecutor. They could work together, systemize the most serious crimes, let the special prosecutor handle those. I'm sure, I know this for a fact, there's still plenty of other crime to be prosecuted in the city of St. Louis. And it just comes down to, I think it's difficult in leadership sometimes to say, I hate to say it, but we need help. And I think, not just the city of St. Louis says we need help, but the state of Missouri, the Missouri Chamber, our reputation for being a violent place it's hurting the entire, not just city, but the region and the state as a whole. So desperate times maybe require some desperate measures. This one is at least, I think, thoughtful and balanced, but without any reduction in the availability of guns on the street for youths, I really don't see how it's going to move the needle. It had to be both of these things. It had to be. And without both, I voted no.
Steve, can hear the frustration in your voice, and we appreciate your time today. We wish you luck on it because I think all of us here care very much about what happens in the city, and crimes at the top of the list. So,
yeah, I hear you guys. It's just going to take, it's just going to take more work. That's all it is. More cooperation and more work. So appreciate it very much. Love your show, and have a great day, you guys.
Well, now we're going to have you on more.
You said the magic words.
Yeah, just compliment us, and we'll have you right back.
Oh, Amy knows I'm a lifelong KMOX listener.
Oh, yes. A great American,
lifelong.
a fine American here.
He is I hear that
Steve Butts is a fine American.
Steve Butts is a great American. I am told all the time that he's the best American in the city of St. Louis. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for the bumper music.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That is Representative Steve Butts with us here on KMOX. All right, let's go to break. Time for break. Amy, tell us about the thing that you need to tell us about.
Well, speaking of fine Americans, I would like to tell you about the folks at STL Fenceworks. Yep, STL Fenceworks. They were opened back in 1971 when Russ and Carolyn Long opened STL Fenceworks, and now their son, Sean Timothy Long, STL and STL Fenceworks, he runs the company. And when you're working with them to get that dream deck built or the new fence put in for a little bit of separation and privacy, aesthetics, make it easier to take the dog out early in the morning, you know that you're working with a company that is locally owned and operated and family owned and operated. Here's another reassurance from STL Fenceworks that I think means a lot in this day of inflation and supply chain issues. One, STL Fenceworks has made deeply discounted winter buys on vinyl fencing and aluminum fencing. And they've been able to pass those savings on to customers. We're talking pre-pandemic costs, so huge savings. Also, they've got all the materials and supplies on hand right now, so there's no long lead-in time. And of course, you know their quality workmanship and lifetime warranty that surpasses anything else in the industry. So work with STL Fenceworks. You will enjoy working with a company locally owned and operated, family owned and operated, stlfenceworks.com.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Paramount Men's Medical Center. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 314-720-8081.
Ask yourself, what am I doing to guarantee I will have adequate inflation-hedged income that I may never outlive? Why not make sure your future income is growing and may last as long as you do? Call for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233. And also join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio.
We're joined once again by Dr. Colleen Bosler of the Audiology Center. Doctor, let's address the elephant in the room. Over-the-counter hearing aids.
Charlie, it's no secret that a cheap amplified listening device has been on the market for years. But what makes these devices different in recent news is that they now can market them as hearing aids. So there is a newfound interest. But it's important to understand that these devices do not have a prescription for the patient's specific loss, which can be dangerous and ineffective. And at the Audiology Center, I love to help people, educate them, get them to know the major differences, and I want to guide them towards what's best for their individual needs.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Make an appointment today at 636-441-7470 or simply online at audiologycenterstl.com.
Secrets, cover-ups, and strange phenomena.
UFOs and ideas that challenge reality itself.
My name is George Knapp. I dig into news stories that others can't or won't.
I'm Jeremy Corbell, and for some reason, people tell me things they probably shouldn't. And this is Weaponized. Follow and listen to Weaponized, a presentation of Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, Dark Horse Entertainment, and Cadence 13 Studios. Available now for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your shows.
Connect with KMOX on air, online, 11:20 a.m., 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
Really good stuff from Missouri State Representative Steve Butts from South City here in St. Louis. And Amy, we were just talking during the break. All those proposals seem reasonable. And my concern about appointing a special prosecutor is the idea of going above what voters have decided in the city of St. Louis. I'll admit it's not a huge concern for me, but it is one of those things where you're like, I don't know if it's a good idea to go down that path. Now, I think if you put it up to the voters in the city, hey, you know what the crime situation is, you know how bad things are. Do you think we should have a special prosecutor? Without any, I don't know for sure, but I bet if people went out to vote, I think they would vote in favor of that idea.
I don't know what they would vote. What needs to be made clear is this is a temporary solution. It's really an assistance to the circuit attorney's office. They're not removing her from her position. That it's not a replacement.
Right.
It's a special prosecutor because right now, and in addition to the, according to the police, over 4,100 backlogged cases, her office says it's 3,000. They have over 200 murder cases that are backlogged, like murder cases in the city. That's not great. And prosecution of crime is critical to deterrence. We talk so much about punishment, even like, the capital punishment and the death penalty, and that's huge in deterrence. Actually, it's not the severity of punishment, it's certainty of punishment, because most criminals don't know exactly what's going to happen if they get caught committing a certain crime. What they know is, what's the likelihood I'm going to get caught? What's the likelihood I'm going to be prosecuted? So police presence and assurance of prosecution are statistically the two greatest deterrents of crime. And right now, we have an abysmal dearth of prosecution. Cases are being backlogged. So it would be 5 years that the special prosecutor would be in that position with 15 assistant prosecutors. And then after 5 years, it would be, I believe, voted upon on whether or not the governor would continue to have an appointed special prosecutor.
And we talked to Chris Crocker with the FBI field office in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago, and he said, there's more of I don't know if you'd call it sophisticated, but there's an operation when it comes to things like car thefts where the adults are recruiting children to go commit these crimes, steal the cars, do those things because they know they're not going to get prosecuted because they're juveniles. So, and that's part of the equation. I think what is reasonable about this idea that is being shot down is that you not only need the special prosecutor, you have to have some stricter gun laws. If it's not the entire state, it has to be in the city. It has to be. Well, that what Steve Butts is arguing for is totally reasonable. And I can't believe there is so much pushback against the idea. Yes, let's have a special prosecutor. Yes, let's also strengthen the gun laws. Are those ordinances where kids can't walk around carrying without supervision? It's madness that we allow that.
Yeah, as you mentioned, even at least have the same rules that you have for squirrel hunting.
You have to have a license for that.
Fewer rules for walking around in the city
It's
than
silly.
for squirrel hunting.
It is absolutely silly that they can't get together on that. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji. Spring training is about to happen for the Cardinals. Matt Pauley is next on KMOX.
Hancock and Kelly are now part of the expanded Total Information AM.
Hello, Friday.
Friday mornings, you'll get all the news and sports information you need to kickstart your day.
Hello, Friday.
At 8:30, Hancock and Kelly offer unmatched analysis and perspective.
You know, Hancock, I'm just grateful I get to spend time with you.
Thank you, Michael Kelly, and we like spending time with all of you right here on KMOX.
Hello, Friday.
Hancock and Kelly, now 8:30 till 10, Friday mornings on KMOX.
Hi, it's Debbie Monterey, and when I make a recommendation, you can be sure that I've done my homework and I only promote the best. So when it comes to real estate, I only recommend one realtor, and that is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been recommending Gloria for years now. I've met her clients, I've seen her systems, and she's the only agent I would trust to sell my home. Gloria Liu's proven track record for selling hundreds of homes this year alone should give you the confidence that she will help you sell for the most money, or the fact that Gloria already has the buyers. Buyers looking to buy right now. That's why Gloria will actually guarantee in writing to sell your home at your price and your time frame, or she'll buy it herself. Call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or you can find her online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
At 11:30, we have cloudy skies, 43 degrees downtown at the Arch. The Biden administration says China's military is likely behind a major aerial spy program that's targeted more than 40 countries on 5 continents with high-altitude surveillance balloons similar to the one the U.S. shot down over the Atlantic coast. The statement Thursday from a senior State Department official offered the most detail to date, linking China's People's Liberation Army to the balloon that traversed the United States. More Americans filed for jobless benefits last week. Layoffs remain historically low. However, applications for jobless aid in the U.S. for the week ending February 4th rose by 13,000 last week to 196,000. It's the 4th straight week claims were under 200,000. Producers of spirits have new bragging rights in the age-old whiskey versus beer debate. Figures show spirits surpassed beer for U.S. market share supremacy based on supplier revenues. The Distilled Spirits Council of the United States made the announcement on Thursday. Checking the roads, we still have that issue on westbound 44 past Six Flags Road. The right lane closed there while crews deal with that crash. Also a stall now southbound 270 right before you get to Manchester on the right-hand shoulder. Windy and chilly today. Temperatures are going to fall into the 40s for the afternoon. For tonight, brisk and cold with some clouds, an overnight low of 33. Right now, we have cloudy skies, 43 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Sponsored by Pfizer. When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So, if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
If you are a business owner and you have 5 or more employees and you managed to make it through the past couple of years with everything the world has thrown at you, well, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. Yes, you could be eligible for a tax rebate. So here's how it works. Go to getrefunds.com and then click on Qualify Me and answer a few questions to see if your business qualifies for this tax rebate. Now, it's available for a limited amount of time, so you don't want to wait. If you've got your phone in front of you, your laptop, go to getrefunds.com. The team of tax attorneys they've put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program, and they've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. They do all the work. They don't charge anything up front. They'll just simply share a percentage of the cash that they get for you. And again, businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even businesses that saw increases in sales. Again, it's available for only a limited amount of time, so don't miss out. Go to getrefunds.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com. Broadcasting from the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
For garage door repair, St. Louis calls the real Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. They're the ones with the red ribbon. They're the ones who've been here since 1926. Others try to copy the name, but they cannot match the level of service. The red ribbon means 94 years of trust and loyalty from St. Louis homeowners. Always look for the red ribbon. It means you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Call 314-781-5200.
I'm Dakota Hudson. I'm Jordan Hicks. I'm Cardinals pitcher Jack Flaherty. I'm Tommy Edman. I'm Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker. I'm Paul DeYoung. I'm Woodson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Spring training is about to happen, baby. A lot of people are already players and whatnot, staff in Florida already, in Jupiter, getting ready for the Cardinals because the season is coming up. You can hear all the games on KMOX. You can even hear them on the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app where you can listen to our show, any show on KMOX, all the podcasts, anything you missed, it's all there ready for you to listen to, and the ball game. You want to listen to the ball game live? You need a device to do it. Get your phone out, get the Odyssey app, and you can listen to Cardinals baseball this year. We are now talking to Matt Pauley, who is our sports fella, sports powder keg, and he's joining us from Florida. Hello, Matt.
Uh-oh, he's shaking his
Oh,
head.
God, no.
Are you not in Florida?
He's not in Florida?
No.
When are you leaving for Florida? I thought you said you were
Sunday.
This
Never
powder
mind.
keg, can you imagine this powder keg that we call Matt Pauley
Yeah.
going through TSA?
What are you guys talking about? I'm not in Florida.
See? Do you see that anger? That's real. He's not
That's-
even pretending.
I know people can't see it, but there's steam, literally steam coming out of his ears.
Yeah. Well, sorry you're not in Florida, Matt. I thought you said you were leaving today. It doesn't matter. I don't listen. Amy says I have a memory problem, so
He actually does, Matt. Like he's got to be the person you would think he would be skipping down the streets with, a light heart and a skip in his step because he has no memory of anything he's ever said. So there's nothing weighing on him, no concern, no regret. He's just starting anew every single day as if he's been given a new life, like he lives a video game. So you could bring something up that he said yesterday. He has no recollection.
You can't go into politics because
actually,
or you could Santos it up. I don't remember saying that.
yeah, that
Maybe
guy-
you have the George Santos
Oh my God.
delusion.
That's it. It's a delusion, all right. Oh, Mitt Romney going after him. How about that?
I love Mitt.
You're embarrassing. I told him he was an embarrassment.
Good
Okay.
for Mitt. Okay, let's talk
Matt
Cardinal
Pauley, the
baseball.
Cardinals picked up a lefty reliever.
Speaking
Anthony.
of mitts,
Oh
boo.
my gosh.
You know what? I don't think we need to talk Cardinals baseball today.
You're breaking up, Matt. We can't hear you.
Tell us about new Cardinals reliever, left-hander Anthony Masevich.
came over from Kansas City for cash considerations. A guy who pitches a lot. He's a lefty. A good strikeout rate. Gets about a strikeout per inning, a little bit more than that. And he'll be in the fold in terms of competing for a left-handed spot. But good big league time. 3 years in the big leagues. He's one of the league leaders in appearances over the last 3 years. So just kind of a nice arm to throw into the mix going into spring training.
I know we're going to talk real baseball. I will say the first time I heard that story being reported yesterday, in my mind, cash considerations was a player.
Oh.
Doesn't it sound like a guy?
No.
I mean, there are people whose first name is Cash.
Right.
So,
Cash
so you need to go change your
considerations.
last name to Considerations.
Yeah.
And then you need to become a Major League Baseball player. What if Cash Considerations is traded for Cash Considerations?
I think I would be up for that. Anyway, I'll stop talking.
All right. So when it comes to relievers, I mean, you don't really, you have a general idea about some guys, but there's a big group of relievers in baseball that year to year, you don't really know what you're going to get. They might turn out to be great. They can be relatively inexperienced and end up being a huge part of your bullpen for the year, just because the sample size is so small. So, I mean, do you have a reasonable expectation how much he helps the Cardinals relief staff?
No, like just basically going to what you just said. You're totally spot on. There's a lot of general manager / president of baseball operations out there that are incredibly uncomfortable giving relief pitchers more than 1-year deals because you just don't know what you're going to get from 1 year to the next. I think part of this as well is with the shift going away, ground ball guys may not be as effective. This guy has a pretty solid strikeout rate. I think this is one of these years where you don't really know what guys are going to do. Like, the rule changes could impact the game in ways that we're not expecting it. So go have as many guys as possible. Go get guys who've got big league experience. I can't sit here and break down what he's going to do for this team or the role exactly he's going to be able to play. But I think it's just a good, solid move to bring. The Royals need a spot on the 40-man roster because they got Zach Greinke, so he kind of became available because of that, and they just took the opportunity to go forward with it.
How do you feel about the pitching staff as a whole? We have had conversations about the starting rotation. There's a lot of questions there, and it could end up being the biggest question of this team, not just in the National League Central, but going up against other teams in the National League. Are you feeling more comfortable about them?
I like the depth of the rotation. I don't like the high-endness of the rotation, if that's a word. I think Jack Flaherty can compete at his best with any pitcher in baseball, but I don't think we can say that about anybody else on the staff right now. I like the back end of the bullpen. I'm a believer in Ryan Helsley. I think it would be nice to have another guy on the roster who's got some major league closing experience. That may be something that they're looking for as the season goes along. Outside of that, I mean, it's kind of the bullpen from Central Casting. You got a bunch of guys and you expect them to go get outs.
So you're saying you like the overall depth, but you're not satisfied with the top end.
When it comes to the starting rotation, no, I don't think this team wins a World Series without going and getting another high-end starting pitcher.
How likely is that to happen once the season starts? I mean, the hope is everybody emerges. Jack Flaherty pitches like the Cy Young candidate Flaherty. At least I think he would be a Cy Young candidate for real if he stays healthy. I mean, he's got to do that first and then go back to what he was a couple of years ago. So if there's the hope they get that, beyond that, you're not really sure, right? So do they get somebody in the middle of the season?
I think they do. And the reason I think they do is because they've got the pieces to do it. There's two things working here. First off, they had the trade chips available to engage on a Sean Murphy deal. They end up going with Contreras instead of Murphy, but those guys that they were going to put into a deal to potentially acquire Murphy, they're still around. So there are some high-end prospects that they were ready to walk away from if the Murphy deal would have come together. The other side of this is the 40-man roster is too deep. And it's a funny thing to say because you can't have enough depth more often than not, but there are so many prospects that are going to be needed to be added to the 40-man roster at some point in the next couple of years. You've got all these guys that aren't going to be on the 40-man roster, and you don't want to just lose them for nothing. So at some point in time, they got to clean up that 40-man roster, and you don't want to just release guys and get nothing for them. So I think there's some motivation to clear some of those spots of some prospects that probably don't have a future with the Cardinals and go make a move.
Do you think since last year with the lockout and the shortened spring training, correct? How much was it? How much time did we lose for the pitchers? It was significant, right?
What, like 2 weeks shorter, maybe?
Yeah.
Does that make a significant difference
weeks.
as far as health and pitchers and readiness for the season?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's I'm a big routine guy, and I think the routine of spring training is important. When we had the training camp year, the summer camp year, the COVID year, where the second version of spring training was like 2 or 3 weeks long. Yes, that had an impact without a doubt. Last year, missing a little bit of time, I lean towards no major impact.
The biggest impact would be on pitching.
Yeah.
If there's got to be. When you talk to position players, once you get to March 15th, March 20th, they're ready to go. Like they don't want to be there anymore. But the pitchers have to, especially the starters, have to stretch out.
So this
get
is
ready.
the
There's
first.
a reason that pitchers show up before position players are supposed to, the report date for pitchers are in front of position players.
Right. And this would be the first time then in over 2 years that they've had the traditional start for pitchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this year it's actually longer because of the WBC.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. And the Cardinals do have some participants in the World Baseball
Tons
Classic
of
this year.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 players on Team USA, and then another, there's some minor league guys who are involved as well. I mean, I don't have the number in front of me, but it's a bunch of guys who are on WBC rosters from the Cardinals.
I just don't know. It's a cool event. I like the event itself. I don't like when it is, but I also don't know when you could do it. When else could you do it? It starts March 7th. It ends on the 21st. And you get some pretty neat moments. I mean, there was the moment that we've replayed over and over again, the last World Baseball Classic, the runner trying to steal second and Yachty throwing to Javier Baez. And there was just that great image of that. So occasionally you get stuff like that. I hate that it's right in the middle of spring training. I just, me personally, would prefer it to not disrupt my team getting ready for the baseball season.
You're not going to have it at the end of the year.
Nope.
You're not going to have it smack dab in the middle of the off season.
There's no good time.
Yeah, there is no good time for an event like this. I think it's different for American sports fans when it comes to baseball, because we don't really think about baseball as being a USA type of sport. And it is, like, to these guys, it is. And I think Mark DeRosa deserves a lot of credit, the manager for Team USA. He's been able to really instill that pride. And then the other side of this is this means so much to people in other countries, the Latin American countries and things like that. And it's an opportunity for us in the United States to see the way baseball matters to people in other countries.
Okay, Matt, before we let you go, any thoughts on LeBron James breaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time NBA scoring record?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it shows that he's done it at a really high level for a really, really long time. I'm bummed for him that it's happening during a season where the Lakers haven't been very good, and that's partially on him. That's partially on the organization. Sometimes LeBron James is an all-time great. And sometimes we get stuck in this whole, well, who's better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? And we try to rank guys, and we try to say, well, if he was playing in this, who cares? Who cares? LeBron James is an all-time great who has done it at a really high level. He's done it for a really, really long time. And, there's a contingent of people who try to take moments of breaking records as a way to say why it's not as big of a deal or dismiss somebody. I'm the exact opposite. When cool records are broken, let's celebrate not just the individual who broke the record, but also let's celebrate the record overall and who had it before.
Oh, and also there is, for anybody who follows the NBA or doesn't, a pretty big trade. You wake up this morning to Kevin Durant with Phoenix. So they win the whole thing now, right?
Good shot, good chance, really good chance. I mean, they were already pretty good, and Kevin Durant is a top 2, top 3 player in the NBA. We'd heard kind of some rumblings after the Kyrie Irving deal that maybe Durant didn't like the direction the organization was going. Remember, Durant requested a trade in the offseason and then ended up walking that back. That's a really big move, and there was nobody available who's going to make a bigger impact than him. And really what the Suns gave up, it wasn't that much. I saw another trade today. Jay Crowder got traded from the Nets. He got traded for 5 second-round picks. Like, who cares? Second-round picks are worth nothing in the NBA.
It's not
Give
the
them
NFL,
100
man.
second-round picks. Like,
Yeah.
the second-round pick has zero value in the NBA.
Oh, God, I love it. Well, good luck, Phoenix. Enjoy that championship. Enjoy that chip. You're going to get it. Matt, enjoy your trip to Florida, which hasn't happened yet. And we'll talk to you next week.
We'll talk on Monday, and I will be in Florida on Monday, barring Southwest Airlines deciding to decide not to work anymore.
Man, throwing shots at Southwest. They haven't done anything to you today.
Not today, but Sunday is a whole different
They'll never
story.
live down their
I know.
moment of infamy.
Safe travels, Matt. We'll talk to you from Florida.
Bye, Matt.
On Monday.
See you guys later.
You know what would happen with Matt Pauley? He's waiting for his flight.
Yeah.
And they're in the terminal, and he starts walking up to the counter. You know the conversation that would happen?
No.
Well, he'd be going up there to.
Where are you?
Oh, sorry.
Where are you going? I'm going to pick a fight.
That's
Yeah, so
exactly
that's what
right.
would happen. Really botched that one.
Yeah. It's hard to follow.
All right, Amy, Chris, the show, it's KMOX.
Black History Month has officially begun. But if you're looking for uplifting Black stories year-round, check out my podcast, Beyond Black History Month. I'm Fami Redwood, and with this year being the 50th anniversary of hip-hop, there will be lots of stories with all the icons.
Hip hop was something that was just the most creative thing ever because it was just born really out of nothing.
Listen and subscribe to Beyond Black History Month on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast from.
Wait and see. Sometimes that can be a good approach, but it isn't always a good strategy when it comes to your retirement. The decisions you make today regarding your savings and investments can have a huge impact on your retirement. Ken and Lori Heisey and the team at Heisey Advisory Group know how hard it can be to watch your accounts go up and down. They've seen the market at its highs and lows and everywhere in between. So if you want to talk to an experienced advisor to help make the most out of these turbulent times, call 314-328-4400 now. That's 314-328-4400. Don't wait any longer. Call Ken and Lori Heisey at Heisey Advisory Group to see what's possible with your retirement plan. 314-328-4400.
Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor, and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC are not affiliated companies.
Park Provence, an assisted living and skilled nursing memory care community, understands the challenges when caring for a loved one with dementia or other forms of memory loss. You're not alone. Park Provence is a trusted expert in memory care and recently recognized as a best memory care community by U.S. News and World Reports. Call 314-452-5200 or to learn more, parkprovence.com. That's P-A-R-C Provence.com.
You have more control over how much you pay in taxes when you retire than at any other time in your life. Don't miss Your Retirement Professors, Saturday afternoons at 1 on St. Louis's News Radio, KMOX.
Furnish hope right here in St. Louis. Donate your unneeded furniture and household goods to Home Sweet Home. Visit www.homesweethomestl.org to learn more.
More Amy, more Chris. What is this weird show? The show on KMOX.
Amy Marks, Kors, and
Yeah.
Chris Ranji on the show on KMOX, welcoming your calls and your text messages. 314-436-7900. Same number for both of those activities. Sometimes people call in and they just want a message relayed to us. They don't want to come on the air. We are sorry to report to you that we are now being boycotted by the Humane Society.
No, we're not.
Yep. A person called in and said they are going to recommend to the Humane Society, demand actually, that we be boycotted and that we are thrown into jail or something. I don't know.
Is that because we thought Matt was in Florida?
No, it's because you said cats are evil.
Oh.
And are trying to kill you.
Oh, I did say
And
that.
listen, you cannot speak ill of felines.
No.
Because there are a lot of cat people out there who they'll come after you. And you cannot, you have to stop suggesting that they are evil.
Malevolent?
Okay, that's better.
Yeah. Pernicious?
Yeah. Yeah. Plotting.
Plotting, sly,
Yes.
scheming.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Listen, you only have to be hurt by a cat once, either physically or emotionally. It's usually both. Right.
Yeah.
Before you get a little bitter.
Listen, they are so mean sometimes. And people who we did have a caller earlier who said my dog is like a cat. Never heard that one before.
I thought you said my cat was
Or
like
my
a dog.
cat's like a dog.
Yeah.
That's what it was. If your dog was like a cat,
That
what
would
an
be the
absolutely
worst.
useless animal. I love dogs. I love dogs.
are
I
the-
love animals. I don't want any harm to come to pets. I just don't like cats.
And cats, I mean, here's the thing. Cats are meant to be in the wild, to hunt.
They are.
To attack.
They
And
absolutely.
we're the ones that are in the wrong. We brought
Yes.
them indoors.
That's
That's our fault. That's
there
not
is
the
a
cat's fault.
text message
Yeah.
that says, Amy, you said that earlier, and it's not true. Cats are the first animals to have domesticated themselves.
Probably as a trick to get
I'm
stuff.
like, yes, they do, because there's food,
Yeah.
right? They need food. You have food. They come up and they walk in between your legs. They go, well, what's going on with that food? Can I have some? You know?
I mean, I'm just saying, many people are saying
Many people are saying
cats have bad attitudes.
they do. Here's a text message
Okay.
that goes along with that. It says from a 314, dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Oh, that's really good.
That is so good.
So
That
true.
is so good.
And listen, guys, I've been hurt, right? You make yourself vulnerable. You hold out your hand to pet a cat. You talk in a nice little voice, and the cat rejects you. That's hurtful.
Let's go back to the phones. 314-436-7900. Tom in Collinsville is with us on KMOX.
Hey guys, fantastically informative show. It's awesome. Hey, real quick on the cat dog thing. I have always been a dog guy. Never liked cats. Had been around those cats that would just assume, just let you know they're smarter than you, don't want to have anything to do with you. And then years ago, I went through a divorce, and my little girl connived me into getting a cat. That cat was literally like a dog. When I would pull up at my house, that cat would be sitting in the front window looking out. By the time I got to the back door, the cat was at the back door. The cat was literally just like a dog, with one exception. If I had to leave the house for like 4 days, you clean the litter box real good, put a little extra food down, and 4 days later you come home and you got your little puppy cat right there, a little mad at you. A dog, you gotta call and get a hold of hundreds of thousands of people to take care of it. And
okay,
I'm telling you, man, I'm not saying I've converted.
Okay, all right.
Because I still love dogs, but man, if you get a cat like that, it's pretty darn cool.
Well, Tom, we appreciate the call.
We do.
And thank you for being with us. But I have to imagine that if you have a cat who does all of those things, it's probably shredded something somewhere, and you'll never find it.
I was thinking while you were gone, it probably made like master plans, blueprint
Yes.
of the house, details that it
Right.
couldn't do while you were around because it would look suspicious.
I think a cat is for people who want a pet, but kind of don't want a pet. You never have to walk it.
And the caller did kind of address this, but if you have a cat that's just like a dog, wouldn't you get a dog?
I stayed with a friend who has a cat,
Mhm.
and she said, listen, she was out of town, let me have her place. She said, I just clean the litter box every couple of days. I almost threw up. It was the most disgusting thing that's ever happened. Oh, I hated it. Oh, never clean a litter box. Never get a litter box. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on the show.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% auto pay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-5555. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, behind on taxes houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-5555. That's 314-782-5555.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news, KMOX.
At 12 noon, we have cloudy skies, 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch, in for Michael Calhoun. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Southwest Airlines on the hot seat, attempting to explain the circumstances behind its Christmas-time meltdown before the Senate Commerce Committee today. Sarah Pinkerton with the aviation group Airlines for America says preventing a next time requires additional funding and technology upgrades at the FAA.
I think this issue requires leadership from the White House, OMB, DOT, FAA, and then Congress supporting an ask for additional resources, frankly, and accountability.
Chief Operating Officer Andrew Watterson opened the hearing by admitting, quote, "We messed up." Under questioning, he repeatedly assured the company's commitment to making sure it never happens again. A group of Democratic members of Congress have just filed a resolution to remove New York Congressman George Santos over his numerous lies. Fellow New York Congressman Richie Torres says he's a sick man.
There's something sick about a man who not only lies pathologically, but violates almost every law imaginable. House ethics, campaign finance law, securities law.
A pair of Jesuit priests with ties to St. Louis University added to a list of those with credible accusations of sexual abuse of minors. The first is the late Daniel Campbell. His accusations are from 1955 while he was a faculty member and Jesuit at SLU. Allegations against David McConey come from 2015 while he was a member of SLU's faculty. The university learned of the investigation into McConey in February of 2022. He resigned his position in March of last year. Quote, the Jesuits' U.S. Central and Southern Province originally released the list of priests with credible abuse allegations in December 2018. It's periodically updated with new names. KMOX has reached out to St. Louis University for comment. A 26-year-old Hazelwood man faces multiple charges accused of having repeated sexual contact with 2 underage victims. St. Louis County Police say Antoine Potts is charged with statutory sodomy, statutory rape, and sexual exploitation of a minor. Investigators say one victim was 14 years old when the abuse first occurred. Police say the acts continued for a year and a half. One incident was filmed. Officials say they believe there may be more victims. Potts is held on a $500,000 cash-only bond. The city of St. Charles wants help from a federal judge as it battles to save its water supply.
We have 2 out of our total 7 wells in operation. 5 have been impacted by the contamination.
Contaminated by a cleaning chemical used on machinery at a nearby Ameren substation, says St. Charles Utility Superintendent John Phillips. The cost of upgrading the water treatment plant and digging new wells could cost $100 million or more. Public Works Director Nick Galla says they're asking a federal judge to intervene and
as to why the judge should not accept the proposed consent decree in its current form, as we believe it's inaccurate. It needs to be improved.
And it needs to include Ameren paying the bill, not local taxpayers, they say. Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
There is an EPA public meeting February 23rd at St. Charles Borromeo Church at 6 p.m. The public comment period ends March 4th. From the KMOX business desk, Metro Transit is scrapping the plastic smart card system it launched a few years ago. The Gateway card cost more than $10 million, was delayed several years and never worked as planned. The Post-Dispatch reports a new fare collection setup will cost about $4 million. Metro CEO Talby Roach says once Gateway card was operating, it was only marginally functional and riders could not reload the cards online. The new updated system would let people use their cell phones, smartwatch, or smart cards, or use a phone or credit card to tap and pay. The Dow from Stifel has now dropped 90 points this hour to 33,858. The S&P 500 is down 10 points at 4,107. Checking the roads this hour, be alert for emergency crews on the right-hand shoulder, eastbound 364 at 270. We also have a stall reported eastbound 370 at Truman Boulevard.
Mostly cloudy skies with us this afternoon. If we're lucky, we'll see a little bit of a slow clearing process. But this big old low pressure system is fairly large, very windy. The backwash around the low pressure system, 52 for the high. Probably feels colder than that. Tonight, partly cloudy, 32. Friday, clouds, a touch of light rain and wet snow in the morning Friday. No big deal. Partly sunny in the afternoon and colder, 35 degrees, going down to 22 Friday night. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Currently, we have 42 degrees in Florissant, 41 in St. Peters, and cloudy skies, 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Also tonight, a woman in St. Louis facing charges for allegedly terrorizing a family with racist threats caught on doorbell cam.
My dad said that she lifted her arm up and was going to hit him with the hammer.
Fatima Suarez says her father and 4-year-old sister were threatened.
What a way to make the news. It is the recap here on the show. We were on the nightly news. The city of St. Louis was. You heard Lester Holt on NBC because of the woman, the 54-year-old woman, Judy Klein, who was arrested for menacing a family, a Hispanic family in South City, had been going to the house and had been ringing the doorbell and shouting racist stuff at them. And at one point brought a hammer to the house and was banging on the front of the house with a hammer. And that's how we make the news, which is, look, it's an awful incident. It's unacceptable. It is outrageous. I hate that is what the national audience sees.
A vile racist.
When we talk about St. Louis. And now there's this perception St. Louis is racist. And there are racists here. Let's be flat honest. There just are. But it's not worse than a lot of other areas. It's not worse than a lot of other cities. A lot of other cities have the same problems. I hate that is how we are viewed nationally.
And I don't know, maybe this is what it takes for the area to start to demand action, because what this incident does, because it's not just one incident, it's been going for over a year now, where this vile racist woman is harassing this family in South St. Louis that at one point she broke into their home, was in the basement. She had a hammer. She yelled all sorts of grotesque things into the Ring doorbell. And this had been going on repeatedly, and it was only because of TikTok and social media that people became outraged, because the family in South St. Louis felt that they weren't getting help from the police or the prosecutors or whoever it would be that would stop this woman from harassing them and coming onto their property. And once the story went viral, then there was more attention focused on it. Then the circuit attorney's office reviewed the case for the first time this week after over a year. Now, the circuit attorney's office said, well, the police did put the information, the application for a warrant, into the circuit attorney's system through a non-urgent drop box. So it wasn't prioritized, and it became part of the backlog of thousands of cases. The circuit attorney says 3,000 cases. The St. Louis police say over 4,100. There's no reason for the discrepancy, but there's miscommunication. There's a dysfunctional relationship between law enforcement and the circuit attorney's office, and it's the residents of St. Louis that are hurting.
Meanwhile, we talked to Steve Butts, representative out of District 81. That is South City here in St. Louis. And Steve has been a lifelong resident of the area. And he recognizes this special prosecutor that's being proposed in the Missouri legislature might just be needed.
It's difficult in leadership sometimes to say, you know, I hate to say it, but we need help. And I think, you know, not just the city of St. Louis says we need help, but the state of Missouri, the Missouri Chamber, our reputation for being a violent place it's hurting the entire, not just city, but the region and the state as a whole.
And he's right about that. Mm-hmm. It is, because we talked to a number of people actually who have said that the problems that happen in the city, whether you realize it or not, and we have said this too, mm-hmm. It has effects on the suburbs. It has effects on St. Charles, on Wentzville, everything that's in the St. Louis vicinity. It reflects on all of us.
Yeah.
And it is a problem for everybody. Butts also said that they wanted to strengthen some gun ordinances in the city limits. I mean, some of it would have been statewide, but they just want kids, people under a certain age, to not be able to, without supervision, walk around the streets with weapons, mm-hmm. and give police the ability to confiscate those weapons, because as it stands right now, they can't do anything if they see a 15-year-old walking around with a gun. They can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I thought one of the more poignant statements he made is that you have to understand that Washington Avenue and Washington, Missouri are two very different environments, and that it's okay to need different gun laws accordingly. We've seen all of the carjackings, armed carjackings that are taking place across the city and into the county, both St. Louis and St. Charles County, committed by teenagers. Well, right now, the police don't have the ability to stop a teen with a gun, unsupervised, walking around in the city. He doesn't have to see the CCW permit.
Right, and that's a problem. That's absolutely a problem, because while it will not solve all the issues, because people who are 18 years old, who are adults, are committing these acts as well, that's not going to solve that problem, but it'll solve some of it. Mm-hmm. And I am of the mindset that just because it isn't perfect doesn't mean it's not a good solution or a good step forward. The old saying is, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And if you could do something better and improve, then do that. Just because it doesn't solve all the problems doesn't mean you shouldn't try something.
And that's how I feel too about the special prosecutor, because it would be for violent crimes. And I don't know if the issue with the circuit attorney's office is dereliction of duty, if it's ineptitude, or if it's just that the office is overwhelmed.
Could be.
However, the results are bad. And so to have a special prosecutor to help relieve the load of backlogged cases, including over 200 murder cases just sitting there not being prosecuted, I am all for it.
Also, caller Mary says, do not come to her doorstep with a hammer or racist remarks.
But if she had came to my door, I would have been on the world news.
Well, we don't want Mary on the world. I want Mary on the world news, but for just because she's
reason.
amazing,
Yeah.
not because she beat somebody.
Well, and she was referring to the frustration that people living in St. Louis and the St. Louis area feel. Mary asked, where are the police? Where is the circuit attorney? Just saying the people who are supposed to help protect the city, who are supposed to prosecute crime, are not doing their job. So Mary was very impassioned with her call, and we thank her for the call.
Well, I think a lot of people, almost everybody who lives in the city, feels exactly the same way about the situation. We talked about the Chinese balloon for a moment because Amy is still outraged that we allowed it to cross over the plains in St. Louis. And
I'm only outraged if I get to do a Bernie Sanders impression of what is with the balloon. That's what I would like to do.
It sounded like Seinfeld.
It did.
What's the matter with you?
At any rate, I'm not outraged. I just feel like if the United States has seen these balloons before and caught them a little late, right? Like, oh yeah, it happened during the Trump administration. It's happened before under Biden. We didn't catch them until they were moving out of our airspace. And they found this balloon when it was over Alaska, over the Aleutian Islands. Why did they let it go? And thank goodness for local journalism and local photographers, because it was a local photographer in Montana, I believe the Billings Gazette. I think so. That's the name of it. He took a picture of the balloon and said, what is this? Because otherwise, I kind of doubt the White House or the Department of Defense would have addressed the balloon situation with the American public, because the American public wouldn't have known about it.
Yeah, they wouldn't have. There's a lot we don't know about what happens. And I'm not sure we should know about every single little
No,
threat.
I don't think we should know about everything.
Or
but
even if it's a threat.
A
I don't know.
balloon in our airspace. And just on principle, even if the balloon were pink with a heart on it and said, hey, we love America, I don't care. You can't just send stuff over sovereign territory. You can't just cross the borders, especially if you happen to be that nation's single greatest geopolitical adversary.
No, but I do think the outrage over it was outsized. I think it was outrage for the sake of outrage. I do, and as I have said multiple times, I'm not saying the military never makes mistakes in their assessments. But what I'm saying is I do trust that they knew it wasn't an immediate threat and they knew what they could do with it, which is why they allowed it to cross the country, and then they took it down, and now they're analyzing it and they're going to gain intelligence from it. So I just think the outrage was there for the sake of there being outrage. We got a texter earlier who said, I'm a former military officer. I think the balloon was more of a slap in the face than an actual attempt at gathering useful intelligence. The Chinese are smart people. That's the reason they are so successful. I don't think the balloon poses serious intelligence. However, their purpose was to do exactly what it is doing, which is cause disconnect and, discord between people here. So
we also made some strong and some would say controversial.
No, you did.
You were complicit. Some would say strong and controversial statements about cats.
I can't do anything about what you say about cats.
Let me just say this, okay? USA Today, as well as other outlets, but I happen to pull this one up. Your cat may want to kill you, study says. Researchers from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland and the Bronx Zoo in New York compared the personalities of domestic house cats to those of 4 different types of wild cats. The research published in a psychology journal calls cats neurotic and unstable.
See?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm arguing is that I don't want any harm to come to cats.
No.
And people have misread that. People have been calling in and saying, I can't believe you're wanting cat. You're encouraging people to do bad things to cats. No, we're not.
We're not.
We don't want you to do anything bad to cats. We just don't think you should own them.
Yeah, and don't declaw them. Like, that's what have them spayed and neutered. Don't declaw them. I think the Humane Society says that's cruel, and don't want that. But Max Wachtel, a Denver psychologist, he's not affiliated with the study, by the way. He just said all of the characteristics you see in those cute little fuzzy house cats, you also see them in lions.
Mm-hmm. A text from our friend Andy Candy at Crown Candy.
Oh, yeah.
Says, Amy, how many times have you been chased by a cat when you're out running?
Oh, my gosh.
Because I've been chased by dogs, and they seem to have bad intentions when they're chasing me.
Andy, maybe they just want some of your candy.
They want candy?
Yeah.
They want one of those bacon sandwiches?
Can I just read one more piece from this
Sure.
story? If you have ever thought your cat was anxious, insecure, tense, suspicious, or aggressive toward you, you aren't making it up. The study says if they were bigger, they probably would consider killing you. But the news isn't all bad. Just like lions, house cats are also playful, excitable, and hilarious. Are lions
They sure
hilarious?
can be. Yeah, when they're knocking stuff off the counter just to spite you. Yeah,
But
I love them.
just like lions, cats are hilarious.
That's funny. I think it's objectively funny. I do think it is. I like it because I don't have a cat, but I like it when cats get on the kitchen table or the counter and they slowly paw a glass toward the edge, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Don't do it! Don't do it!"
do it.
And then they knock it off just because they can. I do kind of appreciate that.
I think Andy has a valid point.
he does-
That's a
Andy
good
makes a
devil's
good point.
advocate.
Although, again, dogs can smell bacon.
Oh
They
my
smell
gosh, you're
bacon.
right. Andy, you probably smell like bacon.
That's exactly right.
Oh, they love you. That's why they're chasing you.
This text message raises a good question. Good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Chris, would you rather feel a warm turd through a plastic bag to carry around than scoop a dried out nugget out of a box? It's a great point. Living in the city with a dog, well, anywhere, you have to pick up the poo. I hate that. I do not like that either. Good point. You got me. So speaking of another thing that you should not do,
I thought you were going to say, speaking of dried out nuggets.
Amy, my co-host. No, speaking of another thing you should not do.
Yeah.
We've told you can't own a cat. There's another thing you're not allowed to do, and we'll talk about that next. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on the show.
Well, if you are a business owner and you have 5 or more employees and you managed to make it through the past couple of years with everything life has thrown at your business, like supply chain issues, worker shortages, inflation, restrictions, and shutdowns, well, I have good news. You could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. That's right. This is through getrefunds.com. See, the team of tax attorneys they've put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program, and they've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. They do all the work with no charge up front. They'll just share a percentage of the cash that they get for you. And businesses of all types can qualify. So don't assume that you won't qualify even just because you took PPP or because you're a nonprofit, or because maybe you saw an increase in sales in the past couple of years. You might still be eligible. To find out if your business qualifies, just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. Getrefunds.com.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Download Upside and start getting cash back wherever you roll. It's like having your own hype man. Get an average of 17% cash back at restaurants.
Oh, it's dinner time.
Average of 13% on groceries.
Get those groceries.
10 cents per gallon average cash back on gas.
It's go time.
Plus, cash back at participating convenience stores too.
Stacks on stacks.
Users can earn hundreds of dollars a year, 3 times more than other apps.
Upside, show me that money.
All right, we get it. It's easy. Just sign up for the free Upside app and start getting cash back for doing you. Download the free Upside app and use promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's promo code DOYOU for an extra $10 on the free Upside app. Get cash back for doing you with the free app from Upside.
Hi, this is Kent Newbold at Newbold Toyota. If you're worried about gas prices, Toyota has the most models of hybrid electrics in the industry. From the best-selling Camry to the best-selling RAV4, we've got it all. So come see us. That's Newbold Toyota in O'Fallon, Illinois, or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
The good and bad with home improvement projects. The good, you save $1 or $2. The bad,
Kevin, there's no hot water.
so you move on to the car.
Kevin, what's with the car?
Good news, you can recover from these.
win.
Well, most all of them. But when it comes to your retirement, a mistake can be devastating. Call Steve All and the All Financial Group. They've been helping folks plan for retirement for years. That's why they've been able to correct do-it-yourself problems before they're problems. Get your complimentary assessment of where you are now and look at some of the retirement boxes you haven't even thought of.
Kevin!
You can't YouTube your retirement. Call Steve today, 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Get more details at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory services offered by All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor in Missouri. Insurance products are offered through its affiliate, All Insurance Group, LLC, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Trusted information, live and local. From the award-winning KMOX Newsroom.
Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on the show on KMOX. We're happy you're with us. The Dave Glover Show comes in at 1 o'clock. I don't know if you know this, Amy, but there has been this idea for my entire life, and I know it's existed before I was around, probably decades and decades or hundreds of years. People feel the need to power through when they feel bad. They feel the need to power through work. I know I feel sick today. This might be a cold. I don't know. Maybe it's the flu. I don't know. I got a sore throat. I'm not sure. I'm going to work anyway. People do this. And prior to COVID happening, when everybody was told to stay home, hey, if you've tested positive for COVID, you're not coming back into this office. And it was 10 days. Then it went down to 5 days. I'm not even sure what it is now. I thought we had hit this breaking point of realization where we had all decided as a country, maybe a planet, that we were not going to go into work if we were sick. And the reason you don't do it, it's not that you can't get your work done. It's not that you're not capable. It's that you're going to get other people sick.
Right.
And here's what we know. Estimations are, and this is from the American Productivity Audit, that what we call presenteeism, that's the idea of I got to be present at work, even if I am sick, costs the United States economy $150 billion per year in lost productivity. And that was reported by the Harvard Business Review in 2020. Why are we now back to this thing where we feel like we have to go to work even if we're sick anyway? I thought we had reached this point where we were smart enough that we weren't going to go infect the office. We were going to stay home. Why are we back to this again? Because I think people have gone back on it.
It does feel like that. I think there's two elements to this. One, people they don't want to use all their sick days or vacation days if they have to take vacation. I think people are just loath to, quote unquote, waste a day where they're actually sick, at work. And two, is there something to, if you're sick, you're so eager to reassure people that it's not COVID, that if you don't test and you don't stay home, you can just assure people it's not COVID, versus if you stay home, everyone's going to assume you have COVID. You can't go out and do other things. I don't know. I think there's still a contingent, maybe, of people who don't want to know or admit that they have it.
I don't understand why that would be. There was an initial...
Because then it means you can't do anything for 10 days versus if
Well, I think it's 5 now, isn't it? If you're testing negative and you're not feeling symptoms.
It's 5, but maybe it just depends on I think different peer groups might feel like, wait a minute, Bob had COVID 5 days ago. I don't want him at my house on day 6. You know what I mean? I think... And maybe I'm wrong here. If you have any thoughts on whether or not you're still reluctant to let people know you have COVID or reluctant to find out if you have it, 314-436-7900, call or text.
But there should be no shame any longer in contracting COVID because it's out there. It's everywhere.
It's not a moral failing. Because at one point, people viewed it as one.
In 2020, if you got COVID, it was, what were you doing? How did you get COVID?
Which is unfair. That was unfair to have
Depending on what you were doing, maybe you have a job where you have to be at work, you have to be around other people. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that. And that's how I got it the first time in October of 2020 I worked with a dude who went to a wedding the week before, and that was the thing. The guy went to a wedding 8 people at a table at the
Oh.
reception. 7 of the 8 got COVID, and
Oh.
he was one of them. And then he brought it back to work, and I got it.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of shame in that. Like, oh my God, what were you out doing? You should have been protecting yourself and protecting other people. But it's different now because we have vaccinations, because the illness for a lot of people isn't as severe as it once was. It still is severe and it still is hurting people. And there are the issues of long COVID. But the idea of, oh my God, I can't believe you contracted COVID, which means you weren't being careful, that's gone. So what does it matter if you have, what does it matter if you have it or the flu? It doesn't matter. You shouldn't be going into work if you have either of those things, or if you have some kind of illness where you can spread it to other people. It winds up costing the economy more. And we really should have laws that give paid sick leave to everybody. Even if you're a part-timer, you should get paid. And I know that's one of the things for people is they don't want to miss
Right.
work because they don't get paid unless they go. That should be a law.
I don't want the flu. I don't want COVID, but I also don't want the flu or a stomach bug.
The flu sucks too,
I will
man.
not think any less of you if you stay home. I'll stay home. Let's all stay home. I don't want to get sick.
You know what? I'm not going to come into work tomorrow. How about that? Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on the show. We've got Mike Brown from the Blue Man Group is coming up next. Blue Man Group coming to St. Louis. You've got KMOX.
I consider myself sort of a student of life.
What's on Dave Glover's mind?
I've noticed recently that we are going through a reset spiritually. But if that's going to go away in large measures, it's going to be replaced with something. Even if it's just, I am God, I am Dave, I am this, I can do it all. Like we're going through weird times, and the people who either never had religion or have given it up are looking to replace it with something. And I just think that's fascinating.
The Dave Glover Show, weekdays beginning at 1 on KMOX.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
At 12:30, we have cloudy skies, 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Megan Lynch. In the news, Southwest Airlines CEO admits to the Senate Commerce Committee, we messed up, as he testifies about the company's Christmas time meltdown. Paul Hudson is with the passenger advocacy group Flyers Rights.
Passengers were unable to talk to any airport representative in person, on the phone, or online. All this occurred while other airlines had empty seats.
Working for Disney, not so magical these days. Business reporter Jason Brooks tells us why.
Disney announced that it's cutting 7,000 jobs as part of a corporate restructuring that will eventually save the company more than $5 billion a year in costs. CEO Bob Iger also announced that Disney is reorganizing into 3 divisions: entertainment, parks, experiences and products, and off on its own, ESPN. Iger denied investor speculation that Disney could be preparing to spin off ESPN.
Disney's fourth quarter earnings topped market estimates, with revenue rising nearly 8% to $23.5 billion. U.S. Senator Josh Hawley announced today he will launch an investigation into the Washington University Transgender Center at Children's Hospital. His actions are based on an article that claims, quote, abuses and potential malpractice regarding minors at the clinic. Checking the roads, looks like we've got a crash now eastbound on 370 at 141. It's on the right-hand shoulder, though. It looks like a stalled vehicle as well. Eastbound 270 at Elizabeth Avenue, and the 2 right lanes are closed westbound 70 past Route A due to a stalled vehicle there. The weather is sponsored by Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company.
The big deal this afternoon, gusty winds all afternoon long with a slow, painfully slow clearing process. 52 for the high. Tonight, partly cloudy, 32. Friday, a weak system comes by in the morning. Cloudy skies, a touch of light rain and wet snow in the morning. It's no big deal. Partly sunny in the afternoon and a cold 35. Clear skies, 22 Friday night. The weekend, Saturday, sunny, cold, 42. Sunday, sunny, better in the afternoon, 52. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We have 42 degrees in Florissant. It's 41 in St. Peters and cloudy skies, 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. I'm Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Need to sell your home, but not willing to play the wait and see game? This is Debbie Monterey with Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. With Gloria Liu, you have seller options to choose from, including a no-obligation cash offer from one of Gloria Liu's cash buyers. It's simple, straightforward, and in many cases, you can receive a cash offer in less than 24 hours. No more wait and see game. And you can even pick the closing date. With Gloria Liu and her cash offer program, you are always in control. Not ready for the cash offer? No problem. Gloria Liu has a guaranteed sold program that states Gloria will sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she will buy it herself, guaranteed in writing. Gloria has solutions and options for every seller. So call today and ask about Gloria's no obligation cash offer program or the guaranteed sold program, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Broadcasting from the Underline Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
In Missouri, the risk for pregnancy-related death is 3 times higher for Black women than white women. More than half of maternal pregnancy-related deaths occur after 43 days postpartum. Many of those deaths could be prevented by extending Medicaid from 60 days to 1 year postpartum for all pregnant people, regardless of condition. Hi, I'm Dr. Kendra Holmes, President and CEO for Affinia Healthcare. We need Missouri to extend health care coverage for our new mothers. It's a matter of life or death. Contact your state legislators and demand they do what's best for Missouri parents. Thank you.
Hey, KMOX listeners, Roger Wigginton here. Don Rogers Limited, 6727 West Main in Belleville. I'm going to do a little departure from my regular commercials. I'm inviting you to come to the store and visit our newest employee, the newest addition to the Don Rogers team, Valerie. She's going to be assisting with the day-to-day operations, with the buying, and through the whole month of February. If you come over and introduce yourself, say, hey, I want to meet Valerie and want to say hi, we're going to give you 10% off your entire purchase. Now, that's on new spring merchandise and even on sale merchandise. We still have quite a bit of winter merchandise at 50% off. You'll get another 10% off of that, to 75% off things from last summer, 10% off of that. But come over, meet Valerie. Don't forget, we're open Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 4. Park at the door, walk in, get waited on. She'd love to meet you, and I want you to meet her. And don't forget, I thank you so very much for listening to our commercial.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley, and I'll be in Jupiter, Florida at Cardinal Spring Training this coming Monday. I'll be bringing you the latest from Redbirds Camp with reports mornings and afternoons and Sports Open Line weeknights from the T.R. Hughes Homes Broadcast Center.
Spring training coverage, sponsored in part by Wilkie Window and Door, on your home of the Cardinals, KMOX.
It's the show on KMOX. Amy Marks-Kors and Chris Ranji. Good afternoon to all of you. The Blue Man Group has been at it since 1991. I know you've seen images of the Blue Man Group. If you have not actually been to a show, well, they're all totally blue, and they are awesome. And they are going to be at the Fox Theater starting tonight. The show runs through the 12th. So plenty of opportunity for you to get out and see the Blue Man Group. And we are joined now on the guest line by Mike Brown, a member of the Blue Man Group. We're glad to have you with us, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
So how long
Excited
have
to be here in St. Louis?
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. And there are, by the way, tickets available at Metro Tix, 314-534-1111 if you're interested in going any of the nights coming up here. So you've been a member of the group for a while now, yeah?
Yeah, I've been almost 20 years.
Wow. Okay. So I lived right around the corner from the Briar Street Theater in Chicago. I lived there for years and walked by that theater all the time and said, I'm going to go see the Blue Man Group, and I never one time did. What am I missing?
A real good time, a real thought-provoking show that's not like anything else, that really is just 100% fun and for everyone. It's a really original show, and we hope everybody comes out and checks it out.
Well, it's something to be said, the longevity of the Blue Man Group, which means it's appealing to generations, just older people, younger people, everyone in between. And the staying power of the Blue Man Group's impressive in a society that constantly wants to be entertained and, moves on to the next thing. What do you think is that appeal to really all ages, everyone, that the Blue Man Group stays so popular?
Blue Man Group has this mystery about it, and I believe it all stems maybe from the character. The character doesn't speak. It's really hard to describe the show, and because of that, the show becomes this mysterious thing that when you see it, you know what it means to you, but you can't really tell like someone else what it means to them. You just got to be like, hey, you got to see it. So it's this, just this weird, mysterious thing that people love, that it's just hard to describe. So that allows people to just keep coming back for more.
And with the not speaking, you guys speak through drumming as well. And there's something about drumming that people love. It's the power and the rhythm.
Yeah, it's very tribal. It's very communal. It's an energy that we all kind of innately feel within our bodies. And therefore that communication through music becomes very instinctual. It's something that we all sort of have as within us through the feelings of community and that tribal essence. And we also use body language and our eyes to communicate other than words, without words.
Yeah, and Mike, the nonverbal communication is such a huge part of, our day to day, everybody's day to day. And you have to do that in this show. Is it challenging to be able to be funny or to be provocative when you're not able to speak words to people?
For me, no, I'm just kidding. It is very challenging. It becomes, you kind of look at things in a more serious or a more simple way instead of seeing it as funny. You try to find some danger in it, or find some, the stakes are higher than it just being funny. So yeah, the Blue Men don't respond to everyday situations or everyday items as normal to everyday humans would. So therefore the stakes are higher. We don't know what's going on around us. And then adding that we don't speak, it just adds to that mystery. What are we thinking? Why are we really here? What do we want? And that adds to the story. It adds to when you're watching the story, you get to make up all of that in your own mind. So therefore the show becomes personal to everyone, literally, while you're watching it.
It's a high energy show. How physically taxing is it to be a Blue Man every single night?
It's actually, I love it. It's a great workout every day. It is taxing, but it's really not super difficult. Just again, it feels like you're going to the gym for an hour and a half.
You're in great shape.
That's exactly. And you've got two shows a day on the weekend. They're the matinees on Saturday and Sunday, and the nighttime show tonight. It happens at 7:30, and it's 7:30 every night too, right? So,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 7:30 every night. Matinee Saturday at 2:00. Matinee Sunday at 1:00. You have been a part of this for a couple of decades now. How has the show changed? Because I'm sure you're not doing the exact same thing you were doing 20 years ago.
Actually, I'm glad you asked that. This show that is out here right now is not like any other show that Blue Man has. Literally, we put it on its feet starting in 2019, and that was the whole point of this show going on the road. The Blue Man Group wanted to venture into other realms, and they wrote this new show. And actually, this show closes in 1 week, so everybody has one more week to see this show. So, and to answer your question, the show has changed numerous times over the years that I've been a part of it. Not only this show, where it's literally new from the beginning, but other shows get refreshed. I usually do a show in Boston, and that show, while I've been there, must have been changed at least 4 or 5 times now, with adding new material or taking things out, or just completely changing the show. And it makes everything fresh for the performers, and it allows the Blue Men to change throughout time and stay relevant, and also communicate and comment on things that are relevant in today's current society.
Over 50 million people have seen the Blue Man Group, but for those that haven't, what can they expect? Is there a plot or a story for them to follow in this new show?
I would say the story is Blue Man bringing our environment, our workspace, our secret little laboratory out into the world for everybody to see, and bringing people up to share in that experience, or bringing people up to help us further the experience due to any kind of problem we may be experiencing, or fun we may be experiencing, where we want the audience to be involved. It's also, like I said, it really is just 100% fun. It's a great time. It's wonderful, really energetic music. You get to see some amazing spectacles of lights and sounds, and the Blue Men venturing throughout all of that in weird, curious, and mysterious ways, interacting with things that in ways that you wouldn't normally interact with them.
Mike Brown, I think people are going to be in for a real treat tonight or this weekend. Anybody who's coming in needs to get tickets now at MetroTix, metrotix.com. The phone number 314-534-1111. Tickets start at $29, so it's a really good deal to see something very entertaining. Mike, we appreciate your time today. We know your phone is on its last legs. So
yeah,
we
made it.
We did it. We totally did it. Thank you for using what little juice you had with us.
Oh man, I'll always have the juice ready for St. Louis. We're ready to rock.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Mike Brown.
Hey, take care. See you later.
That is Mike Brown with the Blue Man Group. Again, they start tonight. The show is at 7:30. They run through the 12th. So great weekend. It is very entertaining, and I regret that I never went.
Mm-hmm.
I kept saying to myself, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do that. I live around the corner. Why would I not go see them? And I think it was one of those deals where you're so close to it, you just assume, oh, yeah, I'll get to it at some point, and then you never do.
Yeah.
It was just that the proximity was too close.
Speaking of Blue Men, of the Blues, actually, I am seeing Jeremy Rutherford retweeted Frank Saravelli. Here's the rumor. Frank Saravelli just...
Hold on. Let me guess. Does it have something to do with Vlad?
It does.
Uh-oh.
Hearing the St. Louis Blues are trading Vladimir Tarasenko to the New York Rangers, Jeremy Rutherford has said he's working to confirm and learn the details of the return. So it has not been confirmed, but Jeremy Rutherford has tweeted he's working to confirm and learn the details of the return. Vladimir Tarasenko potentially to the New York Rangers. That's from Frank Saravelli, Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic.
Well,
working
how
to
about
confirm
that?
it.
Been talking about trading Vladimir Tarasenko for 3 years now?
It's been a while, yeah. I mean, in the first year that it came up, he was unhappy with the way the team dealt with his injuries and the doctors, and he came back from those injuries, had an incredible year after thinking, wow, this relationship is irreparably damaged. Jim Thomas of the Post-Dispatch has also retweeted Frank Saravelli. So we're waiting to hear confirmation details, but that is the word. We will keep you posted on what happens there. If anything develops before we get to the Dave Glover Show at 1 o'clock, we will do that for you. Again, though, back to the Blue Man Group. If you want tickets tonight, all the way through Sunday, metrotix.com or call 314-534-1111. It's Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
We would like to welcome you to the great big small town of Belleville, Illinois. Whether you are looking to enjoy the ambiance of our downtown area, complete with shops, restaurants, and entertainment venues to enjoy, or if you're waiting to find the perfect place to raise your family, Belleville is definitely the place you want to be.
For more information about our incredible city, please visit Belleville.net to experience all the reasons why you should call Belleville, Illinois home too. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Illinois South Tourism.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Underlaw, we're looking for brave clients who've been injured and are ready to stand beside us in our fight to improve the safety of our community.
Call Onderlaw Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 6189 million.
Did you know that St. Louis Composting is open all year long? It may be winter, but it's the perfect time to start planning for next spring's bountiful garden and lawn. For more information, visit stlcompost.com.
Hi, I'm Amy Mark Scores, and I've been wearing contacts since I was 12 years old. So eye care is a big deal. That's why I see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, and Royer. Give them a call at 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie and Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons, and they're experts in the diagnosis and treatment of many diseases of the eye, like dry eye, allergy eyes, cataracts, glaucoma, and they're experts in LASIK surgery. Maybe you're experiencing dry eye. We stare at our screens. We don't blink as often. That can lead to your eyes feeling scratchy and achy at night. It could be something as simple as the screen or allergies, or maybe it's something more. The doctors at Ophthalmology Associates take the time to talk to you. Visit them today at youridoc.com or 314-966-5000, 314-966-5000.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. My friends Mark and Neil Gelman. Check out the only agents that I trust at thegelmanteam.com.
Prepare an emergency kit, sign up for local alerts, and make a family communications plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. A public service message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is the show. The show continues on KMOX.
Amy, Mark Scores, Chris Ranji. It is the show on KMOX. Text messages about the workday and going to work, and as I like to call it, powering through when you're sick and spreading your germs all over the office. It's such a bad way we go about things in this country. But there's pressure. It's not just the lack of, care for other people. It's not just that. It's not just those things like a selfishness. That's not what it is all the time. A lot of times, it's that you feel like you absolutely cannot call off work because your boss is going to get mad at you or you're going to get fired. And I get that. That's real pressure. The texter says, my daughter works at a hospital, not going to name the hospital, had a fever for 3 days and got reprimanded for taking off that time. She had a fever. The problem is that's why people are going into work sick, because they feel like they are going to get in trouble. If you're a manager of any company, I realize it sucks when you're shorthanded, but the last thing you want is if one person stays home sick and doesn't come in and doesn't spread germs to everybody else, you're down one person. Do you want to be down 3 or 4?
Yeah, that's surprising. Like, I'd almost want to know the situation, because I understand maybe bosses, I don't know, get frustrated if you have a cold or a stomach ache. I'm not saying it's right. I understand that. A fever is so cut and dry to me. You're sick with something contagious if you have a fever. It's such a clear bad sign of don't be around other people.
Absolutely. And our guy, Kevin Wheeler, he's
that
at
guy's
home.
the worst.
He's the worst. And guess what? He's at home. He's at home because he's been feeling sick and he's working from home because he doesn't want to spread germs. He could still work.
Yeah, but I'm glad he's not here.
Damn.
Well, because I don't want to get sick.
Because of that. I thought you didn't want to see him.
because he said he was a power through guy.
Really interesting poll from Monmouth that's just happening. Just saw it a little bit ago. It was posted about a half hour ago. A national voter poll of Republican voters, their opinions of certain members of Congress. These are some notable names here. So there's a favorable, unfavorable rating for these 4 people. Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and George Santos. Which one do you think is the least favorable of all of those?
George Santos.
You're correct. 12% say he is the least favorable. And coming in second least favorable,
Yeah. Is my guess would be Mitch McConnell.
it is absolutely Mitch McConnell with a 23% favorability rating.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what's interesting. McConnell is the most unfavorable of those four. At 53% of GOP voters think Mitch McConnell is unfavorable, only 42% of GOP voters think George Santos is.
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. Didn't you just say George Santos was the least favorable?
There's a favorable
Uh-huh.
and unfavorable percentage.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So people don't necessarily find him favorable. We're talking about Santos. But they find him unfavorable, but they find Mitch McConnell more unfavorable than George Santos.
That's so crazy.
How is that possible?
Maybe because they think Mitch McConnell, and they rightly think this, because he has more authority, he has more ability to influence and change the party, that they find him more unfavorable because of his words and actions have far-reaching consequences than those of George Santos, even though that guy's a clown.
Kevin McCarthy has a 48% favorability rating, which is pretty good. Marjorie Taylor Greene is 30. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is more favorable than George Santos. Okay, I get that.
Is that good or bad?
Wait, for her or for the party?
For the country.
Well, for the country, it's not all that great.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know if are you glad that she's more favorable than George Santos? I don't
know either, but she's more favorable than Mitch McConnell, according to this poll.
That's ridiculous.
Look, that coat looked great
You
at the State of the Union.
love that
white
coat.
fur, I love it. There's a lot of discourse going on over the last couple of days about her, and she was referred to as white trash by James Carville.
Okay.
Right? It was James Carville, right? I don't want to. I'm pretty sure it was James Carville. If it's not, I apologize, James. But had called her white trash or said it's indicative of white trashdom, whatever it is. And a lot of people were pointing out the fact that before she got to Congress, had a lot of money. Like, we're not talking about somebody who.
It's inappropriate. Yeah, it's inappropriate to call
It's weird.
someone.
It's weird anyway to say that.
It's weird anyway to say that, but that's also, I've not thought that when I see her. I just see her as a MAGA crazy, but I've never, it's inappropriate to say that, but that's not what I think of with her.
Yeah, it was James Carville who said the level of white trashdom in the Republican Party is staggering. He is from South Louisiana, by the way. But that coat, that's an expensive coat.
You love that coat.
Oh my God, I think she looked great.
Did
She's
she-
a weirdo and kind of nuts, but that coat looked really good on her.
Did she wear it on the Russian state TV interview
No,
the
but
next
she
day?
no. So she was
'Cause
on Russian.
They looked kind of Russian.
You're right. She was on Russian state television the following morning after the State of the Union, giving an interview. I don't know what was said, but she was on it. And she did not have that coat on, but she did have the big balloon behind her that she
yes.
walked into the office
The
on
be-
Tuesday.
The beacon of seriousness that is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
How difficult would it be, Amy, to get back to at least, even if we disagree on stuff
Yeah.
and you think people are nuts for their ideas, how difficult would it be to get back to at least some seriousness?
Well, apparently pretty difficult at the rate we're going, because honestly, if you saw that white balloon in Congress, how much would you want to have a little toy jet? Fly
Wow.
by it and pop it.
I would have walked up to it with a needle and popped that thing.
But wouldn't you want a toy jet as well?
Well, absolutely. I'm guessing that's not allowed.
A toy jet?
Not in the halls of Congress?
It's little.
Yeah, but it's a security threat. Who knows what's going on with that thing?
I can see that. Well, congratulations to the F-22 on its first kill, I guess.
What an awesome thing. We finally get to shoot this thing. Give me a reason. So also, we were talking about cats. Amy disparaged cats today during the show.
You were complicit, if not goading me
A
to...
texter says, cats don't want to kill you. They're just waiting for you to die so they can eat your face.
my gosh.
That's weird.
That's super weird.
Cats are great. I love cats.
They're great.
I want a cat. I
Have
can't wait.
your-
I'm going to see a cat this weekend. It's going to be awesome.
Have your pet spayed or neutered.
Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji going to hang out with the Dave Glover Show next on KMOX.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept